Andy, you ready? Okay, Brianna, you ready? Okay. Good evening, everybody. We're going to go ahead and call the Clovis City Council meeting to order for Monday, May 4th, 2026 at 6 p.m. At this time, we're going to go ahead and ask Councilmember Bessinger to lead us in the flag salute.
Please join me in saluting our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will our City Clerk Para call the roll?
Yes. Councilmember Baskel? Councilmember Ashbeck?
Here.
Councilmember Bessinger?
Here.
And Mayor Pro Tem Pierce?
Here.
And Mayor Monica?
Here.
The unalphabetical scared me. Like I was, wait, why am I not here?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay, just testing, just checking.
Okay, next will be public comments. Public comments is the opportunity for the members of the public to address the City Council on any matter within the city's jurisdiction, but not listed on the agenda. You can come to the podium if you can limit your comments to 3 minutes or less, if you can state your name and address for the record. Turn it, we'll turn it on for you. Okay,
right.
there you go.
Good evening, council and everybody. I'm Bill Rogers, VFW Post 3225. Memorial Day weekend will be coming up. And then, first of all, on Friday night, we'll have our farmer's market in town. Then on Saturday morning, this is May 23rd, at Academy Cemetery at around 8 o'clock, 8 to 9, we'll gather out there. If you want to place a flag on veterans' graves, we'll have a ceremony then. After that, we'll follow over to Red Bank Cemetery at 9:45. We'll do the same thing there. That's Saturday morning. Sunday is Glorious Junk Days in Old Town Clovis. Then on Memorial Day, at Clovis Cemetery at 9 o'clock, around that time period, they'll have a ceremony there. That's at Clovis Cemetery. Then at Clovis Veterans Memorial District Building, they start out with opening up the Heritage Center. They'll have a live band, and they'll have a concert at 11 o'clock, with patriotic music and everything. Then at 12 o'clock to 2, you'll have a nice lunch for you, hamburgers and hot dogs, and a nice area around there. So just letting everybody know about that, and I thank you. Any
Thank you,
questions?
Bill. Any questions for Bill?
Just, can you clarify, what time is the Clovis Cemetery?
Clovis
8
Cemetery is
o'clock Academy, 8 o'clock Academy, 9:40, 8 o'clock 8 o'clock Academy, 9:45 Red Bank. What time's Clovis Cemetery?
Clovis Cemetery is 9 o'clock in the morning.
On Monday.
On Monday.
Those are on Saturday.
Okay, you got
This is the,
Saturday morning.
Oh, no wonder I'm confused. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry.
Anything
Appreciate
else?
it.
the one for Monday morning is is it the American Legion?
American Legion
American
is in
Legion's
charge
that
of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Clovis
yeah.
Cemetery.
Monday
Yeah,
morning
yeah,
one.
yeah.
We have any
Yeah.
questions from the audience?
Where's Red Bank Cemetery?
Red Bank Cemetery is out on Shaw Avenue across from the Wildwater Adventure. It's, as you're driving out, it'll be on the north side of the road with a whole bunch of trees. Academy
Okay.
Cemetery is at 168 past Academy Avenue. It'll be one block. You say Modoc. They'll say Academy Cemetery. It's up on the hill.
I thought he knew everything.
Thank you, Bill.
You're very welcome.
Anyone else?
Good evening, my name is Steve Trevino, I live on Bullard. Just recently, well, not just recently, but in the past, I've noticed that the city of Clovis has the public, where they pick up the garbage on the street, but they won't pick up hazardous or tires. And what happens is, there's people that just throw their garbage on somebody else's property. They'll throw tires away or hazardous materials. Might be a bucket of paint or something like that. And the guys that pick up the garbage, they won't take it. So they end up leaving it there. And so I've noticed that there's been you walk down the sidewalk, you see tires sometimes, or you'll see cans of paint or other kinds of hazardous materials. And so I just wanted to mention that if there's some way that the city of Clovis can pick that up, I know they have a truck behind the garbage truck, maybe they should pick that up also. I know because, a lot of people really don't know how to dispose of old tires and paint. I realize that the city of Clovis does advertise or they send out notices, but a lot of people still don't know what's going on. And second, if I may, there's been a lot of talk about housing, and I guess they're going to start having financing for low income to be able to buy a house. But my parents came here in the 50s, just like other people did, and they were able to find housing on some of these ranches during that time. But it isn't like that anymore. It's important that we have some kind of emergency housing for people. And I've noticed, I had an uncle that came from Texas also, and there was government housing during the 70s and the 80s. And I noticed, maybe I'm unaware of it, but I don't see any more government housing like I did back in the old days. And that's what we need is, there needs to be more, HUD and government housing, Clovis, Fresno, and surrounding areas. Because, when you're poor, you don't care about buying a house. You want a place to lay your head, and you want to eat food and shelter. And that's what, that's what more poor, that's what, when you're poor, that's what you need. And so, I know it's nice that you're able to buy a house, cheap, but, when you're poor, you just want somewhere to live. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. Go ahead, Drew.
Mr. Trevino, I don't know about the tires, but we have a really good system for paint. It's right across from Bicentennial Park, and you drive through, the city worker will come up, take it from you. The only thing they can't take is stain.
Okay.
So if somebody was to leave something in your neighborhood, you could grab it up and take it
Okay.
over there,
All right.
if you were so inclined.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. Anyone else have a public comment? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close. Oh, I had one email, and it's from Mr. Joseph Thompson, and it's about the high-speed rail. And so we all have that on our dais as well for a public comment. So we will now move to the consent calendar. Items on consent are routine in nature and are recommended for approval by the City Council. These items will be considered and voted on as a single item unless a council member requests separate consideration of any item. We have items 1 through 10. Anyone like to pull anything? Is anyone here in the public here to address any items of the consent 1 through 10? Yes, seeing none, we'll bring back to the council. What's the pleasure of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar, items 1 through 10.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, we have a motion, second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
One discussion point, which is after the motion,
Yeah.
but it's just a note. The boot quarterly report is in the consent calendar, and just a budget note as we look at our budget in the next few meetings, thinking about that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also wanted to add with regards to the boot, if we can help them and talk to them in detail. I know Sean is probably working very closely
Yeah, there's a
with them.
proposal coming back with the budget.
Excellent, okay, thank you. Okay, next we'll move to public hearings. Item 11 is adoption of the City of Clovis 2026-2030 Consolidated Plan and 2026-27 Annual Action Plan for expenditure of Community Development Block Grant CDBG funds. Staff on this is Claudia and Heidi, Housing Program Managers.
Holly.
Holly, sorry.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Claudia Cáceres, Housing Program Manager for the City of Clovis, and with me tonight is
Holly Greathouse, staff
Okay.
analyst with housing.
My apologies, Holly.
Holly and I are going to present the 2026-2030 HUD Consolidated Plan, along with the 2026-2027 CDBG Annual Action Plan for your review and approval. Our CDBG entitlement for 26-27 is $706,825. The five-year consolidated planning process serves as a framework for our community-wide collaboration and citizen participation. and involvement. It helps us identify housing and community development priorities and aligning those needs with the funding that is available to the city through the Community Development Block Grant Program. The city is required to prepare the 5-year consolidated plan for the period encompassing July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2030. The plan includes required local analysis to assess the affordable housing needs of the community, along with analysis of our community development needs and other related market conditions. Then, based on that data analysis and citizen participation and feedback, staff develops the housing and community development activity goals as part of the 5-year plan for the expenditure of CDBG funds. Now, a little insight into our citizen participation process. The development of this 5-year plan requires extensive participation beyond what we normally plan for in our annual processes. With the help of our Public Information Office, we prepared 4 separate social media campaigns. We developed a specific community needs survey for the HUD programming. This was available to the public from September to December 2025. Housing and admin staff went door to door, knocking to talk with our residents in our lower income neighborhoods and providing them access to our community needs survey. We knocked on over 375 doors and left brochures at 5 mobile home parks and at 5 apartment complexes located in our lower income neighborhoods. We held 2 public input meetings. We directly contacted our local service providers serving our lower income populations. We asked them for specific housing and community development feedback. We published notifications in newspapers in English, Spanish, and Hmong. We posted information in public spaces, and we shared announcements regarding the entire planning process at several of the community meetings Holly and I regularly attend. Now we will present the findings and housing needs identified in the 5-year consolidated plan. There was a 26.2% increase in population from 2014 to 2024. The population increased from 98,815 persons to 124,725 persons. The fastest growth rate in population is among those that are 65 to 84 years of age. Those that are 65 to 74 increase at a rate of 28%, and those that are 74 to 84 years of age increased at the rate of 27.3%. Additionally, having a high housing cost burden is the most common of the 4 housing problems in Clovis. HUD identifies the 4 housing problems as lacking complete kitchens, lacking complete plumbing, living in overcrowded conditions, or having a housing cost burden, which technically means paying more than 30% of your income for your housing. Having a high housing cost burden affects low-income households more than other households, and particularly affects small and elderly households in Clovis. There continues, of course, to be a long waiting list for affordable housing units, with over 26,000 people on the countywide Housing Choice Voucher Program waiting list. Additionally, we've heard there's a 3-year waiting list for our local affordable senior housing complexes. There continues to be a need for assistance for the homeless. Currently, Clovis only is home to 1 emergency shelter, which is for victims of domestic violence, where a family can typically stay for up to 1 year, but can stay for 2 years. Now, some additional housing-related data. The median home value in Clovis nearly doubled in the last 10 years. It went from $247,400 in 2014 to $482,700 in 2024. It's an increase of 95%. The median rent increased from $909 per month to $1,450 per month over the same 10 years. That's an increase of 59%, while median income only increased by 55%, going from $63,662 a year to $99,241 a year. The following slide presents the non-housing community focus areas that were determined to be of priority need based on information analyzed from the Community Needs Survey, from the 2025 Clovis Community Survey, from city staff feedback, and from direct contact with our local service providers. The Clovis community would like us to focus on the following areas for funding consideration: employment opportunities and economic development, parks and natural resources, funding for public infrastructure, traffic and road condition repair, water and sewer, storm drains, crosswalks, alley, street lighting, recreational centers, recreational facilities and healthcare facilities, funding for ADA improvements, funding for youth centers, and funding for public services. As a result of all the data gathered and analyzed, Staff has developed the following recommended goals for the 5-year consolidated plan period. Note, we've identified them in high priority, medium priority, and low priority order, and you'll see in the next couple of slides. Namely because as we do that, we have the ability to fund any one of those priority activities over the next 5 years. But city staff intends to primarily fund the high priority activities as follows: increase and improve and preserve affordable housing, job creation and job retention, housing programs to meet homeless needs, provision of public services and community services, and funding for public infrastructure and facility improvements. Medium priority goals are as follows: rental unit repairs, youth center services and youth center repairs, provision of services for the disabled, child care services, health services, street lighting improvements, disaster and emergency preparedness, neighborhood and crime prevention programs, and food or meals for residences with special needs. Our low priority goals are as follows: treatment for lead-based paint, tenant property manager counseling, access to community college programs, facade improvements, low or no cost transportation services, which is already provided, revitalization of deteriorated commercial areas, and code enforcement through housing activities. As a reminder, I've mentioned this before, for an activity to be eligible to receive CDBG funds in Clovis, it must benefit low to moderate income people or LMI. To qualify as benefiting a low and moderate income person in Clovis, we either directly income qualify a household, as we do through our owner-occupied housing repair program, or we fund projects located in a low and moderate income census tract, like our public infrastructure projects, or we fund a project that serves an eligible population as identified by HUD, which is referred to as limited clientele, and that is reflective in our domestic violence and senior population activities. This is a map of our low and moderate income census tracts and block groups in the city of Clovis. Our public infrastructure projects are located within these census tracts, as well as many of our owner-occupied housing repair activities. Next, we'll move on to our discussion of our annual action plan, which will be led by Holly Greathouse.
All right, good evening, Mayor and fellow council members. Next, we'll describe the steps staff took to develop the consolidated plan and action plan. We began by reviewing past performance to find areas to improve upon or areas of need for the coming years. We value our citizen participation, therefore we have in-depth stakeholder engagement. We held, we posted public notices for upcoming meetings at local businesses, on our website, on our social media pages, at public counters at city facilities, published in the Fresno Bee and Business Journal, and emailed to several other governmental agencies and nonprofit organizations, particularly those serving lower income populations. We held public meetings, which included a workshop on our CDBG application and outlined the CDBG program and the types of activities that can be funded. We then held a meeting with Clovis internal departments to discuss the CDBG applications we received, and from this meeting, in combination with citizen feedback, staff developed funding recommendations. Next was our Citizens Advisory Committee meeting to present the 5-year consolidated plan, the funding recommendations, and gain their feedback. And we have a great group of people on our committee who I will introduce in the next slide. And finally, we're here today for the City Council public hearing and public comment. So our committee members are Lowell Enns from Exceptional Parents Unlimited, Rich Mostert from Valley Community Small Business Development Center, Bonnie Audas from our Senior Center, and Russ Harding from Clovis Unified School District. We're very thankful for their time on this committee, and we love having their feedback and input on our CDBG projects and future goals. The funding we have available for the 2026-2027 program year is as follows. Our entitlement allocation is $706,825. We do have previous year carryover funds from projects that came in under budget at $87,951. And that gives us a total to use of $794,776. Based on the funding available and the consolidated plan findings and identified goals, here are our funding recommendations for the 26-27 program year. Housing rehabilitation at $130,000, micro enterprise culinary kitchen at $87,000, our senior center at $40,000, the Marjorie Mason Center at $61,491, an alley improvement project at Cole and Elm north of 4th Street for $193,000. ADA sidewalk improvements in the Estabrook, Music, and Acacia area for $141,920. And 20% from our HUD allocation for administrative costs at $141,365, which of course only covers a portion of actual costs to deliver these programs. And now we're going to provide some background information on the projects that we're recommending. First, our Cole Elm Alley project, which will provide pavement, gutters, drive approach for vehicles, and safe alleyway access to all residents in the area. Next, we have the ADA Sidewalk Improvement Project, showing specific locations where continuous sidewalks and ADA curb cuts will be installed so people are no longer forced to walk in the street, and those with a mobility constraint can easily access the sidewalk. This will also provide safer access for children to walk to school. And now we have a few pictures of our recent home rehab projects. This first picture shows a couple of bathrooms that were repaired. Both showers in these homes leaked and had mold growth, and the residents have some mobility restrictions, so both received new showers, one with additional grab bars, and the other as a walk-in shower to mitigate trip and fall hazards. Next, we have a roof and ceiling on a mobile home that needed extensive repair. As you can see, there were several leaks in the roof, which led to water damage of the ceiling and mold growth. This homeowner received a loan in combination with her CDBG grant to have a new roof installed, as well as the necessary ceiling repairs and other items around her home. Next, we have a mobile home with skirting damage, which can lead to pest infestations, moisture buildup, structural damage, and damage to wiring and ductwork. This is a very typical replacement request of our mobile homeowners, and even a small change can increase the pride of ownership. Next, we just wanted to highlight our senior center, as they have been able to expand their services with the CDBG funds. We added a picture of our CAC member, Bonnie, who has been instrumental in our Citizens Advisory Committee and a huge asset to the senior center. Unfortunately, she does have to step down since she is now city staff. We want to express our gratitude to her for her service on the CAC. We also wanted to highlight the Clovis Culinary Center, where new entrepreneurs are consistently applying for and receiving CDBG funds to grow their businesses. And with that, staff recommends the adoption of the 2026-2030 CDBG Consolidated Plan and the 2026-2027 Annual Action Plan. Thank you.
Any
And we're
comments?
available for questions.
Oh, thank you. Any comments or questions first? Go ahead, Drew.
More of a comment. I'm really glad to see that we're going to be addressing the Estabrook, Brookside area. That area struggled for quite a while, and this investment is important. And I think some people they probably don't see the alleyways as much as people who live in the neighborhoods do. But when we improve an alleyway, people start rebuilding their fences. They start investing in their homes. And when you have an alleyway that's clean and paved right, people are less likely to drive up and dump their furniture off, because that's just a broken windows thing. So the more we improve these areas, the better they're going to get. Good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Just a couple comments. Ditto on the good work and ditto on the outreach. Pages and pages. So people can't say they didn't know. So good job. Good job on that. Just a couple of comments and questions in no particular order. So one of the early slides you had talked about, I think it said plan something, and I don't know. I wonder if we could keep going back. Wait, go that way now, forward. This. So I think there's sometimes government says things that are obvious, like housing burden is more common in households with lower incomes. So I think we need to just maybe that's a rule that we have to say the obvious, but to me, yeah, and is there something else to it? Is there something deeper that we might not be seeing? So I guess those two sentences both struck me as like, well, of course, who else would experience a housing burden if you had a lower income and you had a small or elderly household? So I think we just need to be thoughtful about how we phrase some of this stuff, because that's sort of an obvious, like, crime happens where people commit crime. Like, yeah, that's right too. So anyway, it's just kind of a reaction that I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. A couple of thoughts about this, and again, in no order. I wonder about code enforcement, and I apologize, Julia, is that your first name? Yes? Crystal. Oh, darn it. I don't even know what day it is. Crystal. Her. Crystal has talked over the last few meetings about code enforcement and on some of the kind of health and safety code requirements for our housing. So I wonder where that fit in here. So I think I know code enforcement's a priority, it's coming back, all that. So I have a question about where does code enforcement relative to housing come to be? Do I hear all my questions or just that one? I have like a couple more.
Can I address that one?
address them,
Yep,
Before I lose
sure.
my train of thought?
Sure.
Code enforcement for housing is an eligible use of CDBG funds. The
Is
city-
not?
It is.
It is?
The city of Clovis used to fund code enforcement through our area-based policing program for many years in the past. We haven't in the last about 3 or 4 years. Because of a finding in an audit we had through our HUD civil rights program. They asked us to stop funding code enforcement and fund more housing repairs.
Okay.
So we actually had funded housing repairs through a different funding source to make up for code enforcement. But it is eligible. We can find a way to make it work better than it had before when we were asked to stop doing code enforcement. But it is a tool in the toolbox of the CDBG program.
Well, I think the larger question is how we do it broadly, and this is a tool, so we don't need just this tool. So I wanted to ask about that, because Crystal, or Julia, depending on who she wants to be tonight, so I apologize for that.
I was going to add also, we do have there's people in this room that know much more about this, a code enforcement staff team
Yeah.
that meets monthly. And addresses when reports are submitted to the city of Clovis, we, as a team, attack code enforcement that way as
I
well.
think that's really important. So thank you for those comments. I just wanted to make sure I did not see that in here. My second comment is on economic development, and I love the money to the Culinary Center, and every year for the last 20 years I've said, gee, could we do more? Could we do some other kind of incubator? Could we expand it? Could we do something in a different part of Clovis? I don't know exactly, but I will continue to advocate. That is such an amazing place, and it's created interesting jobs and small businesses and all the things that we want to have come out of it. So I'll just continue to say out loud, I know there's only $800,000, so it's not like there's $8 million to spend. We could spend that money 10 times over. But I just wanted to make, I think what we've done there is really a model and scalable. So if there's any opportunities there. I also had a question about, we talk about domestic violence. A lot of those issues on the list of list of challenges are related to each other, right? So I wonder, and seeing Lowell ends on the committee, I wonder if we've thought about, or maybe in our next cycle, there's a lot of work around neighborhood resource centers where in communities that are underserved, there's a center where all those things get taken care of at one time. Because if I am struggling, if I am homeless and my kids can't, I don't have any food, and my housing is not stable, I can't make 10 stops. I can't call 10 places. I don't have a car. So I just wonder if down the road, if we might look at a way to integrate some of the elements in the CDB, the words I can't say, CDBG program at some point, think about it a little bit differently. So we're not just funding in silos, but we're actually funding a family. Like we're trying to lift up a family, and these are their needs, as opposed to here are all these categories. And I'm sure HUD wants us to fund in categories. I get that. But just a thought on how we think about that, because those items are often related. So families have not just one of those, they have half a dozen of those. So it's just a comment on how we might serve families in a different way as we move forward. And then my final comment is medium priority. You had a list of things. The last one was food or meals for residents with special needs. And I know we talked about that not too long ago. We provided some money to the food bank. Mr. Trevino has talked about that as well. Can you define special needs? Because in the world I live in during the day, special needs is something very different. And where you live at night, it's a different word too. So can you describe special needs?
I think I termed it special needs because in our feedback from our community, it was meals for seniors, meals for the disabled, meals for the youth, meals for large families. And so it really is up to us to define what special needs we want to target. But it really is for the population that is most neediest, lower income in our community.
So, yeah, maybe just a different, special needs to me, it doesn't quite communicate that. Vulnerable populations, those kind of languages maybe is what we're trying to get at, but special needs is a category of children in lots of places, in schools and hospitals and other places. So it just made me think it really is not that kind of special needs. It's really people that are struggling and need extra help quickly. That's really what you're talking about, I think. So
And-
just a comment on the language.
Well, this is a great time to do that because it's still draft as of
Yeah.
today, and I feel
Yeah, so maybe something like vulnerable
We can change it.
populations, just to be broadly. But anyway, thank you for allowing me the comments, and good job on it.
Excellent report, always. Wanted to ask, our 5-year completes this year submitted, when do we get a response, if any, on sort of how we did this last 5 years? Because you were reporting on that several years now.
So last week, I just received the response for the previous fiscal year that ended June 30th, 2025. We will submit our 5-year end report in September.
Okay.
They
it's in
usually turn
September.
those around, the response, they usually turn that around within 2 months. But I believe that because HUD has cut back a lot of their staff, they're spread thin right now. And so we may not get something back till 2027.
Okay, so we don't get any feedback prior to this submission. It's sort of kind of, I'm trying to understand, because we may be submitting things where they may have
Yeah.
potential findings.
Yeah, and the report we received back in regards to our previous year's reporting,
Yeah,
just congratulate the city, we're doing really good.
okay.
Yeah.
And then the, sort of the 88,000 that was carried over, does that have to be spent in this next fiscal year, or can that potentially live the life of this next 5 years, the 88,000?
It depends on what year it came from, but usually you need to spend it in 3 years, and so we try to spend it as soon as possible, especially if it's old year money. And
Oh,
HUD
so the
requires you to do
88
that.
is not just this last previous year, it potentially can have
potentially-
been 5 years, 3 years ago or something
I
like
don't have money that old. We're really
Yeah.
good at spending our money as soon as possible. I think the oldest money we have is 3 years old.
that. Okay, good. Yeah, spend the 88 first. Okay, now with regards to job creation, I agree with Lynn with regards to the Culinary Center, because it actually does wonders to, I think it's not all Clovis users, but I believe that because it's housed here, it is just such a important part. Do we do anything, and maybe Chad, you can help answer this, with the new Employment Opportunities Program and promoting that, where I think they just changed it where the EDC now will administer it all, and they pay 100% of the employees with the reimbursement of wages, and how we can play a part of that with economic development, with employers, and with ourselves as potential employers too, to go, hey, this is a great program, office assistants, MAs, CNAs, whatever, they train them all, and it's people who are low income, who are coming into the workforce, and then it reimburses you for a whole year, and if you don't keep them, you can let them go, or if you can keep them, if they work out for you. So it saves a lot for employers. I just know that there's not a lot of employers who may know about it. And so, any thought of that, or what are we doing?
Yeah, you nailed it with Fresno County EDC. So they
Yeah.
manage the programs, and they do have quite a few businesses in the city of Clovis that they partner with. I'll try to get some stats for you, and we
Okay.
can feed it to you in a report. Certainly, that would be outside the realm of the CDBG, but certainly economic development being a driver that our residents responded to well, we want to serve that need.
Because, I mean, in the plan here, it says retain 75 jobs. So that's why, in 5 years, how do we do that? How do we actually help? But if we coordinate with them, it makes it easier, and we can kind of hopefully get the credit for it.
Yeah, and certainly I think The point is, through the kitchen, those jobs will be
Those are the
created.
ones. Okay.
And certainly the eligible use, it's not just users of the kitchen, they need to be income qualified
Okay.
and fit the bill for us to be able to use these funds to support them.
All right. And then to Drew's point of, with regards to the alleys, I think safety is such a big component when you fix, and you talked about sidewalks that may need, and it's only 130-some thousand. It's a lot because there's not much here, but there's potential for us to do a lot of that work and to identify all of those in preparation of future funding. So that way we can go, okay, yeah, there are these sidewalks, especially in the sort of disadvantaged communities where the census tracts has identified. I think those are important. And how do we sort of pinpoint those and make those even better? Because to hear about sort of the project with the trails along right by Letterman Park, those are exciting because that neighborhood now will get a wonderful amenity that is health, but also in a community that really needs it. So if we can keep identifying that, I think that'll be something that I think we really like here, at least on this council, to continue to improve. So excellent work. It's always a great project.
If I can
Great
add one more
report.
item, an incubator has been mentioned tonight, and certainly with the kitchen being a very popular and effective incubator, we are in conversations with Fresno State. They're working on an incubator of their own called Forge, which we've provided a letter of support to them. We've had meetings as recently as last week, and the intention would be for it to be a traditional incubator that Fresno and Clovis would support and benefit from. So there'll be some commitment that we'll be asked to participate in at some point, but also with staff time and maybe some funding, we'll be able to have a little bit of contribution that will have a lot of outcome for our residents.
And Claudia,
What was the name
what was the
again?
name of Borge?
Forge, I believe is the name they're going for. Yeah, Forge.
Okay, I'm not feeling this. B-O-R-G-E.
Forge.
Oh, Forge.
Oh, Forge. I thought you
Yes.
said Borge. I'm like,
Forge.
what?
Yeah, Borge is a terrible name.
Forge.
Business.
Forge. Yeah, and I thought business opportunities. It wasn't working for me. Forge. I see.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And Claudia, the funding is strictly census, huh? The number of in the disadvantaged census tracts. And it's not how great your program potentially can be, so you can go, hey, we're actually building a business incubator, which is going to cost a whole lot more than $700,000. It's not that yet, right? It's not a project.
That's
It's
correct.
strictly population-based.
That's correct, along with other needs and housing,
Yeah.
how old their housing is, and information like that. That's based off of census data.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and open the public portion. If you have any comments or questions with regards to the 2026-27 CDBG plan. I know, I heard Forge. I changed it.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Crystal.
Are you sure?
I can be, what did you call me, Julia? I can be
Julia.
Julia.
That's a nice name, too.
Yeah, I
though.
like it.
But Crystal's
I'm a
good.
Julia Roberts fan, so it's okay, I can be Julia.
There you go. There you go.
And I'm a Clovis resident. My question is very simple. And I didn't bring it with me tonight, unfortunately, so bear with me. The exhibits in your plan, I would say a great number of them, if not 90% or more, are based on information taken from Fresno City of Fresno, and Madera, right? So I have a question about that, why that is, and why there isn't anything that was taken directly from Clovis, because I see that Clovis is very special. And the needs of Clovis and the residents here are very different from Fresno and Madera. And so, for example, there were sections about, as far as the unhoused and supporting them in mental health, and I believe job creation or advancing their education. And that's not necessarily the issue that residents are having here in Clovis, and this is from my point of view. So I would just like some clarity on that, because I feel that some of that information that's being borrowed from other cities aren't necessarily the fix for Clovis. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Claudia, any response?
Yeah, the only data that includes Fresno County data, and we do not include City of Fresno data or Madera data, is with the PIT count, which is the point-in-time survey with the Fresno County Madera Continuum of Care. And that's because the data is not extrapolated for the City of Clovis. We do it by zip codes. Even when we do it by zip codes, it includes some county areas, but moving forward, we will have data available that is specific to the City of Clovis, but in the past, it has not been specific.
That's right. I think with the homeless discussions that we have been having, I think they're trying to improve that data so that way it is more Clovis specific. That's right. So, thank you, Crystal, Julia. Thank you, Crystal. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close the public portion, bring it back to the council.
I'll move that we adopt the 2026-2030 Consolidated Plan and the 2026-27 Annual Action Plan for expenditure of the CDBG funds.
Can we get a second?
CDBG?
I got it. I
CDBG.
read it carefully.
Second.
CDBG.
I have to do the same thing.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next is item 12. And we are going to consider various items associated with fees under the Planning and Development Services Department and find that the project is exempt from further environmental review under Section 15061B3 of the California Environmental Quality Act Guidelines. City of Clovis applicant. Item A, consider a request to approve a resolution amending plan check inspection services, encroachment permits, and community investment program rates. Item B, a request to approve the 2026 City of Clovis Planning Division fee schedule. Staff on this is Mackenzie Pierce, and I don't think that's Sean Smith. You can introduce yourself. Yeah.
Good
Hi,
evening, Mayor, council members. Mackenzie Perez with the Planning Division. I just want to quickly introduce Chris Kelly. He's our supervising civil engineer with our Development Review Unit in our Engineering Division. So he's going to be presenting on behalf of Sean.
Okay, welcome, Chris.
All right, thank you, Mackenzie. For engineering, we are recommending an update to our hourly rate. We examined the overhead costs that the division has been incurring. And based off those costs, one of the options to update rates is due to the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, which recommended a 4% increase. The hourly rate is utilized to charge staff time to capital accounts, inspection rates for non-residential projects, charging staff time to various miscellaneous tasks that are not covered in another fee category, as well as a few charges in the planning division fee schedule. Right now, currently, the fee rate is $150. With the proposed 4% increase, this new rate would be $156 per hour. Again, this was based off an analysis of the overhead costs the division has been seeing. And if approved, this increase wouldn't go into effect until July 6, 2026.
Okay, so for planning, our last comprehensive update was in 2021, and prior to that, that was in 2009. We are planning to go back with a comprehensive update to our entire Planning and Development Services Department in this upcoming fiscal year. So this evening, you are going to be considering an annual update, and the annual updates are done to avoid large increases. We are also using the Consumer Price Index increase. It's 4.48%. We take the average of the past 5 years. On the screen, you'll see it says that we had no objections. The notice was sent out to over 5,000 stakeholders. Originally, we had not received any objections. However, we did receive one over the weekend that I believe is on the dais for you. And that customer representative has asked that there be no fee increases. If it is approved this evening, these fees will go in effect 60 days from now, so that's July 7th, 2026. Staff recommends that you approve the resolution amending the engineering fee update and our 2026 Clovis Planning Division fee schedule. That concludes my presentation. Staff is available for any questions.
That's one from Susan Hopper, I'm assuming.
Correct, yes.
Okay, I just want to note that also for the record, that we
Yes.
did get that in an email. So, any questions of staff? Go ahead, Drew.
When we did stakeholder outreach, did we reach out to the folks in the Black Horse developments?
No, so I don't want to say no. Who we reached out to is all customers that have created an account through our EnerGov system for some kind of development application, because those are who the fees would typically apply to, and also the building industry group.
Because they use the city engineer as a consultant when they're doing internal things inside on their fees and things like that. And they kind of bristled with the amount of money that they had to spend on the city engineer, but we don't want to be involved in that program anyway. So probably in the future, we need to include them.
Yeah, we can obtain that email list and include them in on future updates as well.
Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Mackenzie, can you clarify, you said that the planning, I think you were speaking specifically of planning division, hadn't been updated since 2021?
So our comprehensive update, our last comprehensive update was in 2021. And before that, it was 2009. And since 2021, we come in with annual updates, and it just depends. Like last year was 4.22%, and we take the average of the last 5 years.
Okay, I just wanted, I was trying to put those two thoughts together. So
Yes.
since 2021, there's been small annual adjustments.
Correct.
And we're not here asking for 30% or whatever that.
Correct. We are planning to do a comprehensive update here in the next fiscal year for the entire department.
Okay. And I didn't see Ms. Hopper's letter till, I didn't figure out it was on the back of the high-speed rail deal. She's not wrong. I do think we should probably think about these fees affect citizens who have to repair their sidewalk if the city sidewalk that they have to pay for needs work. So that whole thing to me is very odd, but she's not wrong. Her point about removing trees that she didn't plant, also not wrong. So I appreciate her raising it. I don't know if she's here tonight or listening, but I think it's worth just being mindful of that, because some of these affect the homeowner down the street whose water pipe broke and has to repair that kind of stuff, I imagine. So I just think we need to think about that impact. Not that it shouldn't be the same as everyone else's, but it does have an impact beyond builders in particular, I guess I would say.
And I think that's why she was notified. So we do notice in the Business Journal, because it is a citywide project.
Yeah.
And then that's why we also notice the users that use our online portal, customer service portal.
Yeah.
Because they are also submitting applications, and that's how she was notified, because she did have an account with us.
Yeah,
So
yep. So just wanted to call her comment out in particular. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and open the public portion. Anyone would like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public portion, bring it back to the council. What's the pleasure of the council? Any further discussion or motion?
Unless
Okay.
there's a discussion, motion to approve the resolution amending plan check inspection services, encroachment permits, and community investment program rates, and approve the 2026 City of Clovis Planning Division fee schedule.
Okay, we have motion second. For all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is item 13. Thank you, Mackenzie and Chris. Okay. Consider various items associated with approximately 17.41 acres of land located at the northeast corner of North Barron and Perrin Avenues. Francis Riccuti and Patrick V. Riccuti, owners. Lennar Homes applicant, Yamabe and Horn Engineering Incorporated representative. Item A, to consider approval of a resolution recommending that the city Council approve an addendum to the previously adopted environmental finding of a mitigated negative declaration. Sorry, I was looking at the screen, okay. I was looking at your screen, that's why, Brianna, because it was bigger. Where am I? And reporting program for vesting tentative track map 6543 and plan development permit 2025-001. Item B, consider approval of track map 6543, a resolution recommending that the city council approve a vesting tentative track map for a 137-lot, single-family planned residential development on approximately 17.41 acres of land. Item C, consider approval of PDP 2025-001, a resolution recommending that the city council approve a planned development permit for a 137-lot planned family residential development. Tiffany Williams, associate planner, and Mackenzie Perez as well. Okay.
Good evening again.
Good evening.
We have another staff member on our planning division team. This is Tiffany Williams. She comes to us from the county of Madera, where she spent 5 years. She's been with our division for almost a year. So she, again, Tiffany Williams, our associate planner. So I'll go ahead and let her get started.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you, Mackenzie, for the introduction. Before I begin, I do want to let the mayor and council members know that we did place on the dais a supplemental memo that will address a lot numbering error. Just to give brief background, while we were preparing the agenda materials, the applicant did submit a corrected or revised map exhibit to address a lot numbering error. Lot number 6 specifically was duplicated on the map, and it resulted in a incorrect total lot count of 136 lots, even though the map showed 137 individual lots. And so the revised map will actually corrects the lot number and then also accurately reflects now the total count of 137 lots. So just to clarify, there were no additional lots added, no changes in the project layout, design, density, or circulation, and it did not alter the conditions of approval or the staff's recommendation.
Okay, thank
With
you.
that clarification, I will proceed with the presentation. So this project site was previously approved by City Council in November of 2024 under map 6452, which approved 153 lots. Since that approval, the applicant has submitted a new map to respond to current market conditions, project demand, and implementation challenges. And so because of this project already having residential development approved on the site under map 6452, the request before you tonight is to consider whether this proposed map should replace the previously approved map. So this project is located on the northeast corner of North Barron and Perrin Avenues. It consists of approximately 17.41 acres of land. It is surrounded by an existing ponding basin to the north, future tank site and rural residential to the east, single-family residential and a PG&E substation to the south, as well as single-family residential to the west. This project site is located within the Heritage Grove Urban Center. It is one of 3 urban centers identified in the general plan for accommodating future residential development. The Heritage Grove Urban Center is planned to accommodate approximately 30,000 residents and is intended to support a mix of land uses. Let's go back. In addition to that, this proposal is consistent with the Heritage Grove Urban Center in that it is proposing new housing in a planned residential growth area. It's not trying to expand into unplanned locations. There's no GPA or rezone proposed with this project. This project is proposing road improvements, pedestrian connections, bicycling connectivity, which also supports the broader circulation network for a Heritage Grove area. In addition, this particular development would be required to comply with the Heritage Grove design guidelines to ensure that it has high quality and cohesive design. Additionally, the Heritage Grove guidelines do not specify or require that individual tracts create separate master plans. So bear with me, there are a couple of animations on this slide. The blended density approach is what we're going to get into real quick. So this particular project site does have two land use designations, including approximately 7 acres of very low density and 10 acres of medium density. Based solely on these designations, the project would be allowed a maximum of 86 units. As previously mentioned, the project applicant is proposing 137 units with this project. With that, they are proposing a blended density approach, which would then utilize unused density from the adjacent map, map 6200, which is shown on the screen. It is contiguous and under common ownership. The blended density approach allows flexibility with density while still maintaining overall consistency with the general plan, as well as providing a mix of housing types. This particular blended density approach was approved by City Council in November of 2024, with actually a higher lot count of 153 units. So again, this particular proposal is proposing 137 lots, which is a reduced lot count from what was previously approved. So staff continue to support the blended density approach in this case because the project site and map 6200 are contiguous. They are also under common ownership, and the project meets the intent of policy 3.6, which does allow the blended density approach. So this slide gives you a comparison of the previously approved map, which was 6452, versus the proposed map, which is 6543. So we'll give a brief rundown. With the previously approved project, we approved 153 single-family lots. And with this proposed map, they're requesting 137 single-family lots, which is a reduction. With the previously approved map, the minimum lot size was at the base 2,100 square feet. And with this project, they are increasing the lot sizes to a minimum of 2,800 square feet. With the prior map, there was one park, approximately 9,000 square feet. With this map, they are proposing almost double the square footage at approximately 16,000 square feet. In addition to that, they are proposing a paseo that will have an open turf play area and benches. With the prior approved map, it was alley-loaded lots with narrow private streets. And with this proposed map, they're proposing front-loaded standard homes with public streets that are going to be built to city standards, which does make it easier for total location and trash pickup. So overall, looking at both of these maps, we can see that there is a reduction in density because of the reduction in the lot count. There's increased open space, as well as just an enhanced layout and functionality. So this site is zoned R1 PRD, which allows for development standard flexibility with small lot, single-family developments. So with this project, the applicant is proposing deviations, including minimum lot sizes increased from 2,100 square feet to the 2,800 square feet. Modified setbacks increased from 0 lot line on one side to now 5 feet side yard setbacks. Additionally, decreased lot coverage from 62% to 60%. And those are all highlighted in yellow on the table to the left. Overall, the deviations are less than those previously approved. And in addition to this, the project is meeting the parking requirement by providing a two-car garage and a driveway that will house the uncovered parking for the guest for each home. So as part of the PDP, the applicant is required to provide amenities. The amenities proposed with this project include, as mentioned, the approximately 16,000 square feet park. It'll have a barbecue station and picnic tables, seat walls and shade pavilions, as well as a shaded children's play structure. In addition to that, there will be the approximately 8,000 square foot paseo, which will connect the subdivision to the existing trail on Perrin. So this project was taken to Planning Commission. Planning Commission did consider the item on March 26th of 2026. Following discussion, the commission voted 3-2 to recommend denial of the project to City Council. Their main concern was the use of the blended density approach, and specifically the use of unused density from a previously approved project. An additional concern was the preference for larger lots. So a notice of public hearing was also provided in accordance with city requirements prior to the Planning Commission, during the hearing, and to date, we have received no comments in opposition to or in favor of the project. An addendum to the previously approved ISM&D was prepared and confirms that there are no new or increased impacts. Therefore, no additional environmental documents are required with this project. So this project is consistent with the policies and goals of the general plan, the Clovis Municipal Code, and the R1 PRD Zone District. Based on staff's finding in the staff report, staff does recommend that the City Council approve the ISM&D addendum, the map, the PDP, to replace the previously approved project subject to the conditions of approval. That concludes staff's presentation. I am available for questions.
Go ahead, Drew.
Just for the record, I met with Lennar about 3 weeks ago, went through this, and I was satisfied with the increase in lot size, public streets now. I had some concerns about the ability of solid waste to be able to get in and out and fire, so my concerns have been mitigated, and thank you.
Go ahead, Lynn.
I also had a chance to meet with Lennar, I suppose we all probably did, so appreciated that, and I just commend them for the work on the revised map. I think it's infinitely more livable, and 50 years from now, those homeowners will be glad that you did that, so thank you for that. Nice job, Tiffany. Welcome to the City of Clovis.
Thank you.
3 things. Can you speak briefly on traffic safety? Because the traffic study, while they're difficult to read, does speak about acceptable levels of service. And when we've talked so much in here about, yes, wait for it, the urban-rural meeting place, where the interface between what's nothing, what's just empty land, and 135, 6, 7 homes is really important. So can you just comment from a staff perspective on, do you feel like the traffic has been at least addressed adequately in the map and future maps to make sure, because it was along Perrin that we've had those 2 kids killed. So I just think trying to always keep that in our mind, that we're not just going to keep adding in more hazards. So can you comment on the traffic study, just briefly on the safety questions as we get out farther and farther? Maybe Lennar would like to do that when they have a chance. Can you comment on the school? There's a school site out, I know, out in this area, so any engagement with Clovis Unified, any comments on that as it affects this map from the city's perspective? And then my final comment is maybe for Andy. I think blended density's squishy. It's a little bit subjective sometimes, but I don't know if it might be a good Planning Commission workshop topic, because we're not going to have, we'll probably have more of these as we go forward. So the principles that you said, contiguous, common ownership, a policy, which I can't pull up in my memory, and then I think just a subjective idea of improved map and livability. Those are important criteria, but it just might be worth a conversation on. If we're going to see more of these, it would be worth having. So I don't really have any questions on it. I'm okay with it now. In this situation, I think it makes sense for all those principles, but I do think in the future it might be worth a conversation with the planning commission. So safety, schools, blended density.
Okay. So for the first item, which was the traffic impacts, I am going to defer to engineering as they handle the traffic studies.
Never defer to engineering. No, just
Okay.
Just kidding,
I'll note that
Chad,
for the
with love,
future.
it's just with love, just kidding.
So,
Chad.
so this development will be conditioned to meet all the requirements of the traffic study. I know the last time it came to council, one of the main concerns was the rural and, kind of the, what's going on between the rural and the city separation there. And as you know, we are working through that with our offsite improvements. And we will be coming back to council with the proposal to you guys on as far as what we'd like to go do moving forward. So we're working through that portion, but as far as this project goes, they are meeting all the needs of their traffic study, and they'll be conditioned to meet all those needs.
I know your name is Thad. Okay, so I think that's really important, just to have it in the public space on that. Do you want to comment on schools as well, or Tiffany, is that you?
We do route the project to the schools. We receive no comments from them in regards to this project.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Go ahead, Matt.
I would just say, looking at the project, I do like the idea of adding the 5-foot side yards as opposed to the common wall or common wall looking approach. And also the public street and the added green space seem to make the project a little bit more feasible than the last one when we argued a little bit back and forth over. So those are just my comments on that.
Any other questions? Tiffany, excellent job. I had a question with regards to the blended density. Andy,
Yes.
did we make a policy, or did we just decided the last time to sort of accept it but never formalized a policy? Can you refresh our memory?
I'd have to refer to planning, but I don't think we have a blended density project elsewhere. Maybe we've done it one or two other times.
This is our first time using that policy, the blended density approach, for this type of project. And one of the main reasons for it was because the development to the south 6200 is also a Lennar project. And so this property is also under same ownership. And overall, the density that was permitted with 6200 was developed well under. And with this project, it's still developed well under what the planned density was for that area.
Okay. And does that affect sort of the zoning of this current project where, if whatever zoning it is, the max number, like you said, was only 86, now we're going to 153. So it does, because of blending, they don't need a rezone.
Correct. Because, so the zoning is consistent with the land use. It's the interpretation of the policy that staff's saying is consistent overall with the density of that area with the land uses that currently exist. So that R1 PRD is consistent with the land use.
Okay. Amy, I don't want to put you on the spot. Are you able to explain sort of, I didn't know which way you voted, but are you on the side, so that way we understand our planning commission, why it was difficult for you to accept the blending, because it's come twice, and last time we approved it again. Are you willing to do that? So that way we can understand from our planning commission your analysis of blending and why it's difficult for our planning commissioners to accept it as a majority.
The three of us who voted against it, it was more that we don't have a set policy, and it seemed to be going down a slippery slope of, yes, it is contiguous, and yes, it is the same owner, but at what point is that going to change down the road?
Okay.
And so to not have some clarity, we were not, last time and this time, we were just, that was going down a road we weren't sure we wanted to go down.
Yeah, okay, thank you,
The
that helps.
project itself was, but it was just the whole blended density was an issue for us.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Do we have a policy, or don't we have a policy?
Yes, we do have a policy that talks about blended density. I think the concern, and correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, is the interpretation of the policy in regards to individual projects and that language that's part of that policy. So we do allow blended density. It's the interpretation of what the individual project is. And I think in this case, staff felt comfortable with that approach, given the same builder, developer, and same owner.
Okay, all right. And so I guess it'd be good to see it the next time. I know that we support it, but it'll give us direction, and it'll also allow us to give better direction to our planning commission as they see this, because I think they're waiting for us, and I think they're kind of unclear on our position. And so, but overall, with regards to the project, it's a significant improvement from what we saw before. And so, any other questions? Okay, we're going to go ahead and open the public portion. Anyone here to speak on this item?
Good evening, my name is Steve Trevino. I live on Bullard. I know it sounds kind of dumb, but I grew up here in Clovis. I remember driving down Minnewawa. We used to pick figs out there towards Minnewawa and Copper. And I've been down Minnewawa, down that area, and many times. And I remember seeing all these peach trees. And the other day, Councilman Aspect was talking about, I forgot, I know the kid that I went to school with him. They used to have walnuts out there in Minnewawa. I used to go out there all the time. Some of the kids that I went to school with, they lived out there. And this is sad. In my mind, I envision that old commercial where at 8 o'clock in the morning, all these guys walk out of their houses with a briefcase in Michigan or something. And reminds me down the street from where I live on Bullard. I don't know the neighborhood. I went in there one time. All the houses looked alike. And I look, how do you know where anybody lives? All the houses look alike. You know, the only way you're gonna know if somebody puts a Raider flag in front of their house or something, you know? And I wonder, I ask myself, when is all this gonna stop? You know, you go down Minnewawa, you go down Willow, and you see all these homes, you know? And here we have a rodeo here in Clovis, you know? It just seems so odd, you know? This is supposed to be, I remember I was talking to somebody when I went to the Clovis parade, you know? I remember at the end of the parade, they had four sweeping trucks going down the street to pick up the horse manure. You know, before they never had a sweepers. That was one thing to go out there after the parade and smell the horse manure. You know, this society, this town is becoming too sanitized. You know, and it just isn't. You know, we have city of Clovis. You got that cowboy up there. It ain't what it used to be. And to me, I know progress is progress, but this is sad. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. Anyone else?
Good evening. Walter Diamond, Fresno, California. I represent Lennar Homes, working in entitlements. I wanted to break it up a little bit. I know when this project went to Planning Commission the first time back in 2024, at least this time when we went to Planning Commission, we gained a couple votes. So we were appreciative of that. And what you said, Councilmember Ashbeck, about a workshop, I think that's a great idea, you know, so that we can all understand it better, maybe memorialize it better so that there's no questions, you know, or misunderstandings about it, because I appreciate the Planning Commission's, you know, concerns too as well. And I worked real hard, Mayor Muanutua.
Yes.
I worked real hard on it this afternoon. I could just say Mayor Vong, but, you know, and city staff, thank you so much for a great job in presenting the project. We really tried for a good solid year to make it a better project. Increase the size of the home sites, and a product that we're building currently. We built out all of Track 6200, 588 home sites. Lennar built all those homes. The fifth phase, we're still finishing up right now. It's almost done. That'll be the same product that we'll build on this project, the Celestial product. And we have the floor plans and elevations. We think it's a really nice product. we're really excited about it, and we hope we can get our approval tonight with City Council. And to address the other comments too, I mean, I agree, I understand, about, the way of life. I understand that. But I also have children and grandchildren, and we have a housing crisis. So how do we balance that? Build well and provide, what is an opportunity for them to have the dream that we have of owning a home in a nice neighborhood and in a nice area. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think and appreciate, the council's cooperation and city staff as well. And then, we just, we've got the engineer here representing us. We're ready to submit the improvement plans tomorrow. We're just hoping for an approval on it. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them for you.
Yes. Go ahead, Lynn.
I have a totally rhetorical question. We heard earlier today that there's a growth in the 64 to 70 some. I don't think I've ever seen a senior 55 and older community come to Clovis. Are we not that market? I mean, everyone says they want our kids to live here. I actually don't say that, no, I'm just kidding. But I mean, is there something about the older market? Because we're not gonna have the blend of generations, which is part of what we love about Clovis. It's really just a 30-second, what's from your industry perspective, but are we not that place?
I've built 2 DeWeb Sun Cities. I've been in that market, I understand it. Sometimes you want amenities and space.
Yeah.
I think that there is a market in Clovis for it. It's just waiting for that right opportunity and the right product and the right time. I think that's a good goal.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it is a worthy goal because we continue, as we look at our general plan and we just keep growing, and Mr. Trevino's not wrong, we do keep growing, that's all.
Yes.
That's right, and that's our plan. But I would love to see a little bit of a mix because we speak a lot about that aging part of our community, want our parents to move back here and live next to their kids or whatever that is. Anyway, put it in the Lennar bucket for thinking on. Thank you. Appreciate it.
There you go.
Any other questions for Walter? Thank you, Walter.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else like to address the council? Go ahead.
Me again. Hello,
Whoever you
Crystal.
are.
Yes, Julia, Clovis resident. Hello, Miss Tiffany. We have to stop meeting like this. This is the 3rd time in a week. It's funny. She's amazing, by the way. So anyway, my question is very simple, or maybe simplistic. I'm wondering how this connects to the city's commitment to affordable housing, because I know you have a commitment that you need to meet, right? And maybe it's my own ignorance, not understanding what affordable housing is, and what that means, so I get that. So I'm wondering if this falls into that, and if it does, is it not a substantial loss that has been reduced by 16 units? Where are you going to get those units back? So that's my question. Thank you. Thank you.
Did you want to address that?
I can answer that. This particular site is not a RENA site, a regional housing needs allocation site, and therefore they're not required to, yes. You're welcome.
Go ahead, sir.
Edward Stark, Clovis, Loyola Avenue. Real quick, this goes on to kind of more of a selfish attitude. My water bill is going to go up because it's costing more money to bring me more water. We had that discussion last week. These new houses, how is that going to help my water bill go down? Because I'm a resident already, and this isn't helping my price go down on my electricity, my water, my streets, my police. This is increasing residents, and I get the whole thing. Well, the new residents are going to pay taxes too, but somewhere along the line, I'm paying up front right now for the water increase that you guys are going to sell to these guys at the same price, but I'm going to pay 3 months, 6 months ahead of time to get a thing. So what I'm saying is basically I'm paying, front-loading their cheap water, I'm front-loading their cheap police department, I'm front-loading their fire department. They're not paying for those new buildings that we're paying for right now or that we've paid for already. And so I'm just, you guys, proud of yourselves that you guys are increasing the side of Clovis, but you're doing it at taxpayers' expense. You're not doing it at, you know, congratulations to you guys. You guys raised the population by 30,000 here in Clovis, but you also raised my taxes or my water bill by, what is it, 70%? Congratulations on that one too. That's all.
Annie, did you want to kind of just address that one? Because development does pay its own way, so.
Yeah, so council has a policy that development pays its own way. We collect impact fees of each home to pay for the facilities that those homes would impact the city for, to not have an impact on residents. All new residents will be paying the same usage rates going forward. So it hopefully keeps everyone on the same level as they come in to pay for the services that they demand of us.
Yeah. And so current residents are not subsidizing new development? Because that I think is a misconception.
That is not the intent, yeah.
And
So we'll be going through our development impact fee program over the next 6 months to a year in detail to make sure that that's the case.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Anyone else?
My name's Ed DeWitt, and I actually live in the development just to the south of that, and I am very glad to see that they're decreasing the density in that piece of property because now that they've started building that huge Wilson complex just east of Sunnyside, it's an eyesore to put 400 houses in a quarter square mile lot. It's insane. That's the country, and we're building these super high density. I agree that we need low-income housing, but those aren't it. Half of the houses are being bought by developers, even in the Lennar tract, which is not really what you want. They're being bought by investors that are renting them at exorbitant rental rates, and it's hurting the value of us. And so you got to be careful when you approve these super high-density areas. Not really sure if you guys have seen in North Fresno, but there's an apartment complex in every half-mile area. Out Nice, Cedar, Maple, those areas, they've mixed the apartments all around. So they're solving her problem by putting apartments in every area. In Clovis, there's not an apartment that I know of north of Nice, and it creates this issue where you build all these little tiny homes on the Wilson lots, because those are like barely 1,500 square foot lots. I mean, it looks like apartments or condominiums. The streets are skinny, you can't park any cars on them. It's ridiculous. It's gated, so they kind of are their own little thing, and they can get away with just about whatever they want, but it's crazy. Out there, the one concern I have is that the two main streets are Marion and Heirloom going out to that traffic circle, and what Councilmember Ashbeck said is the intersection, and you're going to be talking about it if you aren't talking about it already, is where Sunnyside crosses from Shepherd to Nice that goes through the county. You've just built 500 homes out there. Wilson's building another 400 to 600 homes over there. They're building northwest of the Lennar project. All those cars are going to filter down. Most of them won't go down Clovis Avenue because there's a light and a school at Teague that you have to stop at. So they all go over to Sunnyside and they go down there. And if I lived over there, I'd be very unhappy because the traffic flow, even at speed, I've noticed today when I was coming to this meeting that they're measuring the traffic flow there, the county is. And the county's not going to pay for that. The city of Clovis is not going to pay for that. I don't know how that road's ever going to get improved unless you guys work together, put your heads together, and whatever transportation funds are available out there, Measure C is expiring, whatever's going on, but that's going to need to be addressed sooner rather than later. But I am in favor of the project, and I hope you will approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeWitt. Yeah, excellent points presented. Anyone else to address? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close the public portion. So bring it back to the council. Any other discussion or motion?
Mayor, I think we should break this into 3 different votes. They're kind of a mouthful.
Okay.
I
think we do need to do that, huh, Scott? Because of the negative.
Yeah, it's preferable. And if the motion maker just wants to suggest approval of resolution in item A, that's fine. You don't have to read the entire title. So.
Oh.
And then B and C.
Well, I think I'll read it a little bit anyway. Motion to approve an addendum to the previously adopted environmental finding of mitigated negative declaration for vesting tentative tract map 6543 and planning development permit 2025-001.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any opposed?
Approve a resolution recommending the council approve the vesting tentative tract map for 137 single-family planned residential development on approximately 17.41 acres.
Second.
Motion second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And approve a planned development permit for 137 single-family planned residential development.
Second.
Okay, motion second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Can I just make
Thank
one
you,
comment really quick? Mr. DeWitt, your comments, is that your name? Did I get that right? Because apparently I don't know anybody's name tonight. I'm getting it all wrong. Just thank you for your comments, because you're spot on all of them. And I think to staff, that question of safety, and people do find the path of least resistance that is really annoying to existing neighbors. And we always say, oh, no, they won't do that, but that's exactly what they're going to do. So I don't know how to overstate my worry about that and the traffic safety out, particularly on parents. So thanks for your comments.
Thank you. Okay, next is item 14, administrative item. It is a receive and file, Quail Run annexation update R0313. Marissa Parker and Thad are staff on this.
No, thank you. All right. Good evening, Council. It's great to see you again. So tonight I have a very brief update on the Quail Run annexation and pre-zone project. So some of this might seem pretty familiar to you, but as you know, the Quail Run neighborhood consists of 18 existing rural residential homes located east of Sunnyside, south of Perrin, and north of Shepherd. It is adjacent to Wilson's Shepherd North project. And the Quail Run neighborhood is currently outside of our city limits, but it is within the city sphere. So some important dates. Back on November 20th of 2025, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the annexation and pre-zone from Fresno County rural residential to the city's rural residential. And then on December 15th, it was considered by the council and it was approved, but we did receive some direction to come back and update you guys on the annexation process and also on the water improvements. So that is what we are here to do tonight. One component of the annexation is the annexation agreement, and we required all 18 property owners to sign that agreement and to have those recorded before we could file the application with LAFCO. So April 7th was a really big day for us. We had received all 18 signed agreements earlier that week, and we were able to get them all recorded with Fresno County and also file that application with LAFCO on April 7th. And then we have the LAFCO hearing scheduled for June 10th. So if all goes well, the Quail Run neighborhood will be annexed into the city sometime in July. And then lastly, for the water improvements, I know there was a lot of discussion about what the right way to do it would be and how we could do that without having to dig up the street many times, or 18 times. And so we worked together, planning and development, public utilities, and the Quail Run group. We found a middle ground that works for everyone, and those plans are currently being reviewed right now. So on this screen, I have an exhibit. There is existing water, which is the darker dashed line that goes up Sunnyside and then east on Perrin. So that is existing water there. And then the proposed water line that the Quail Run group will be installing is kind of this lighter solid line that traverses through the neighborhood. There are also some hydrants scattered about, I believe 5 of those, which work for fire. And then each property will have 2 laterals from that proposed water line, and that will serve the domestic uses and then also the landscaping. So all of the water improvements will be done at one time. We will only be digging up the road one time, and all 18 property owners have agreed to this with that signed.
That's a gigantic statement you just made. That's a big win. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Not 18 different times, so good job on that.
Yes. So that pretty much wraps up my presentation. So we are working on completing those plans so that once the annexation is complete, they can get started on construction. So I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Go ahead, Lynn.
You got some other questions on there? Any purple pipe water in here?
No.
Any chance of purple pipe water? No? Too far away? Okay.
Go
Future
ahead.
purple pipe water? Just kidding.
Go ahead, Diane.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Go ahead, Drew.
Congratulations on getting them all to do it at the same time. One of the fears I had was that we were going to cut that street 18 times. And every time you cut a street, you're ruining the integrity and it looks like hell. So, good work.
Any other questions? Okay. I think in thinking back, I think our lack of understanding of the amount of work you guys put in to just get the annexation agreement, and then to finally get it, and then to get here, excellent work, because I think this really opens the door for us to sort of help other more denser county developments where we will kind of are a butt to, and then can kind of help solve some of those issues. So thank you so much for the work, and thank you for this update. Okay. At this time, we'll go ahead and open the public portion. Anyone like to address the council on this? Okay, seeing no one, bring it back. I think that's it. No further questions. Thank you, Marissa.
All right. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
We will now move to item 15. This is receive and file, a general plan update, land use map check-in. So we have Renee, and our consultant. Sorry, I forgot your name, sir. I just know that you were.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council.
Tonight we'll just make up names.
Not that, Ben.
So sorry. Not Julia, though.
No, not Julia or Crystal. So good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Tonight, staff with assistance from Ben Ritchie with De Novo will be providing an update on where we are with our general plan update. A lot of good progress. I don't want to steal Ben's thunder, but we'll tell you what we've accomplished. Really tonight, we're going to talk about next steps. We're going to go over some land use maps, and we're really just looking for, yeah, you're on the right track, keep proceeding. I have to say this, I know it's in Ben's presentation as well. We are on time and on budget. So there we go. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ben. And if you have any questions at the end, we're happy to answer it.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening, Council. Ben Ritchie, De Novo Planning Group. Great to see everybody again. And I am going to move through my presentation. So our objectives tonight really just provide you an overall project status update and then talk about our next steps. We are getting into the weeds, the nitty-gritty, the sausage making, and the good part of this. So we are about to embark on preparing the land use alternatives analysis via the land use alternatives report. So the project team has developed 3 conceptual land use maps, which will be the subject of a detailed analysis. I want to emphasize this. I am going to put some maps on the screen tonight. I am not asking the council to get into the weeds. We are going to have multiple public hearings, additional GPAC meetings, and some roll up our sleeves, in-depth working sessions with the council. I want to show you that we're looking at concepts and we're about to analyze them in greater detail. But please understand that when I flash maps on the screen, everything is on the table, everything is subject to change. We're just about to do a more in-depth comparative analysis. So what I'm looking for is some nods from the council that says, it looks like you're looking at a lot of things. Keep going so that we can come back and grill me later. Because I expect you're going to ask me questions like, what does that mean for traffic? What does that mean for public utilities and infrastructure? What does that mean for fiscal and economic? The answer tonight, right now, is I have no idea. But I'm about to embark on the report that tells you all of that, and I'm going to show you what we're going to study so I can come back and give you a ton of supporting information. And if you end up looking at the 3 maps I put up here and you don't like any of them, that's fine. None of the maps we put up here are going to make it to the finish line in final form. They're all subject to change. So this is just me articulating where we go from here in terms of our next round of analysis. So our last update, last update to council, I was here in November of 2025. Renee did steal my thunder. Mayor in particular, I know you grilled us when we got the contract approved. Stay within budget. We're well within. We're under. I'm not going to promise it's always under, but I see nothing on the horizon that gives me a blink of concern in terms of the budget. We are also on schedule. We're here in and out in 3 years. We are tracking with that, and we're right where we need to be at this stage. So as the project manager, as the firm owner, I have heartburn over nothing in terms of schedule and budget, and that's probably because I lose sleep over schedule and budget, and that keeps me from getting heartburn. So we're doing good. You've seen this slide before. We have 3 major primary work plan phases. This worked out great. We started initially in early 2025 and we're slated to wrap up by the end of 2027. So when I take what is a complex moving spaghetti bowl of work efforts over 3 years, it's generally broken into 3 phases, which each correspond to a year. We are now in phase 2 and we're about halfway through it. We're about almost halfway through 2026. So we're right on track in terms of where we are supposed to be. I won't read all of these, but my next slide talks about our notable completed milestones. So we've done all the initial logo, branding, and website, a ton of data collection and base mapping. It's easy for me to say base mapping. If you were my GIS staff and city GIS staff, you understand what a Herculean effort it is to get all of that dialed in. We did a very robust community outreach program during the first year as part of phase 1. We've prepared a detailed existing conditions report, which is published and available on the city's general plan update website. We held a multi-month application process and come one, come all in terms of property owners wishing to see their land use designations changed as part of the general plan update. We've identified a range of land use map alternatives, and we have met 5 times with the GPAC, the General Plan Advisory Committee. I have a slide on that, and I will be talking about that in the next slide. I know outreach and community feedback is a cornerstone to this effort and of critical importance to the council. I've talked to you about this before, but just to recap, we held 2 community visioning workshops in person to kick off this exercise. We've done 5 pop-up events, which have been led by staff. They've been at, gosh, I won't get them all right, but they've been at farmers markets, they've been at Trail Fest, they've been all over the community out there talking about the general plan. We did an online survey. When I say we got 120 responses, that was 120 individuals asking or answering 30 some odd questions, and a lot of those were open-ended. We have dozens, if not 100+ pages of the online responses. All of that's published in the outreach report. We met with a variety of focus groups, everybody from business leaders, real estate leaders, Chamber of Commerce, school district, environmental advocacy groups, cultural groups throughout the community. The city's done extensive social media outreach, direct mailers, very effective tool. The city decided to spend the extra budget and make sure that you were getting direct mailers out to every property and business owner within the city of Clovis. Really helped drive up participation. It was very good use of your dollars in terms of getting the word out and getting folks out there. Again, you have a dedicated website, and we have taken all of the feedback and a documentation of what we've done and published it in the phase 1 outreach summary report. There is a lot more public outreach coming, especially as we hit additional milestones coming up over the next year, year and a half. Your GPAC has been fantastic, so good job appointing that group. They have been robust, engaged. We take the time to get them materials, and they're reading it, and they show up ready to talk. They've done a good job of being ambassadors for the project. They have been measured and thoughtful in their responses. They've been respectful to other members. We've had excellent attendance among the GPAC members. Folks are showing up. I've done this in a lot of communities, and sometimes people will sign up, and then you might catch them for 1 or 2 meetings. We've got, what do we have, 15 members? Like, I don't think we've had less than 14 there, maybe 13 once, and it's not repeat offenders who happen to be absent. So great group. So far, we've done an intro meeting. We talked about roles, and we talked about our big picture vision, priorities, and objectives for the community. We've discussed economic development. We had 2 very in-depth meetings focused on land use and specifically the land use map. So 2 meetings dedicated to the land use map, and the GPAC was instrumental in getting us to the stage that we are now to talk about land use alternatives. And then I was just there last week on Thursday. We had our 5th meeting where we talked about land use policy, because you can't have a map with without a bunch of policies to support it. So we are 5 down, 7 to go, and it's going well in terms of the GPAC. Our next subsequent meetings will focus on community health and environmental justice, circulation mobility, and parks and recreation. Those meetings are scheduled for May 19th, June 18th, and July 30th. I believe May 19th is a Tuesday. The rest of our meetings are on Thursday. They're all held at the Transit Center at 6 p.m. And I will add, we have had very good, polite, constructive public attendance and comment at these meetings. The public has been very respectful of letting us have a roundtable discussion amongst the GPAC without interjecting. They listen. We've had structured opportunity for public comment at the end. Folks are staying to the end, they're commenting, and the comments are on point. They're responsive to what we're talking about, again, respectful, and they are contributing to development of the general plan. GPAC has been very good at listening and being responsive to that. One thing I do is I type up summary notes at the end of each GPAC meeting, and we publish those on the website, and those include our public comment. So anyone wanting to hear what's the GPAC been up to, what have they been talking about, all of the materials and summary notes are on the website within a couple of days following the conclusion of each GPAC meeting, and I'm very pleased with the group and how it's going.
Ben, Renee, I had a question with regards to just input. If a member does not make it, can they still submit written suggestions, and can it still be taken in, or does it have to be done in this public forum only?
This is meant to be an open, transparent process. Okay. There is a contact us button on the general plan website. They can email staff. We have gotten some things emailed in. We'll slide it into the packet for the GPAC if we get it in time, and we'll otherwise share it with them. So I encourage people to show up, but this is not a, hey, you weren't here, you missed your chance, sorry, we won't listen. Email us, by all means. Okay. We're here to gather information. This is the consensus building outreach phase. Yeah. So by all means, if someone cannot attend the meeting, email the city staff, it makes it to me, we'll discuss it with the GPAC, and that all factors into our decision-making for drafting the general plan.
Thank you.
Great question, thank you. All right, in terms of our next steps, we are literally this week, provided tonight goes well, going to embark tomorrow morning on the land use alternatives report. So before we release the hounds and start this analysis, I wanted to inform the council of our plans and intentions and make sure you're supportive of where we're headed next. So the land use alternatives report is one of the key components of our scope of work. It makes up the bulk of phase 2. As we know, the general plan is a series of elements with goals, policies, and implementation items, and the land use map. And the land use map holds equal weight to the rest of the general plan, but it is, of course, the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and it truly lays out and dictates how your community will grow and change over time. So this report will provide a detailed comparative analysis of 3 different versions of the Clovis land use map, and it will analyze each of the alternatives for the following: potential growth in terms of housing units, population, jobs, and non-residential development square footage, so how much industrial, office, commercial building square footage might we expect or anticipate. The fiscal and economic implications of each scenario, so in terms of revenue, cost of services, and what it means for the city budget and bottom line in terms of different land uses and growth scenarios. Implications in terms of utilities and infrastructure. What will be the water demand, the sewer demand, demand on police and fire, other public services, libraries and other community service-based public services. The traffic implications. What will it mean in terms of level of services? Will you need to extend major new roadways and arterials? What is it going to mean in terms of cost and investment implications for your circulation network? Environmental implications. Are we looking at land uses in sensitive habitats? Are there areas of environmental hazards? What's it going to mean in terms of the environment? Also air quality, community noise, et cetera. And also, and very importantly, consistency with the vision for Clovis as articulated by the community, the GPAC, and the City Council. So as we continue to prepare the general plan update, we are remaining grounded in what we've heard from the community, the GPAC, and the council in terms of what Clovis's values and priorities are, and how this general plan land use map does or does not fit and further those goals and priorities. So how did we come up with the big three that we're going to be analyzing? The GPAC was instrumental in helping with this. While we had 2 meetings dedicated to the land use map, all discussions tend to come back and talk about land use. When we talk about economic development, it kind of flips back to land use. When we talk about our goals and priorities, it kind of comes back to land use. So I've had 5 meetings. I developed the alternatives a little bit before Thursday, so before the 5th meeting, but 4 GPAC meetings were instrumental in getting us to this point. We had the property owner parcel change request period of time, multiple months. I believe we had 35 separate applications. Some of those applications covered multiple parcels that were either contiguous or non-contiguous. Some of those applications were for 1,200 plus acres. So, you know, we might have had an application for a 2-acre site. One application was like 7 parcels and 1,200 acres. So 35 might not be a huge number, but it covers a lot of acreage in and around the sphere and the larger planning area. Those were all reviewed in detail by the GPAC and by staff, and those are very, very heavily reflected on Alternative 2 and about 50% reflected on Alternative 3. So we gave a lot of, I don't want to say preference, we gave a lot of consideration, discussion, and contemplation to those property owner change requests. And I want to articulate very clearly that the Land Use Alternatives Report is going to map, describe, and show all of them, and then describe where they are or are not included on each of the alternatives being shown, and whether they are or are not shown on one or more of the alternatives is in no way a predetermination on whether they should be approved or not approved or included in your overall land use map. So I just want to very clearly articulate to anyone who submitted an application, there is a long way to go before the general plan says, yeah, it should or should not be included on the map. And the alternatives report is going to have a lot of detail and supporting information about each of those applications. The initial public outreach got a lot of feedback in terms of global priorities for land use, and we also did specific land use map exercises as part of our visioning workshops. So the community input during the initial outreach phase was also a key component in terms of influencing how we crafted each of the 3 alternatives. We have had excellent communication with staff and specifically the TAC, the Technical Advisory Committee, which is a glorified way of saying your department heads and the key people in the know at the city. They've gone over these maps with us in detail and provided invaluable insight in terms of, hey, this is what it'll mean for police response times. Here's fire's concerns about growth over here. Here's what Public Works thinks about the potential to grow in this area. And so staff input and consideration has been instrumental in helping us craft these alternatives. And then we've also provided some professional input and feedback based on doing a lot of general plans and our analysis of your city. And we've really balanced that across what I've heard from the council, the community, the GPAC, and staff. And that's what led us to these 3 alternatives that are going to be the subject of our analysis. So how this report will be used. So I've talked about what it is and how we came up with it. Upon completion, we will be holding a series of public workshops. The purpose of these workshops will be to gather additional public input and feedback on the land uses. So we're going to write this report. We're going to hold some public workshops. Come one, come all. We are part of the general plan update. We've been looking at these land use maps. It's very easy for me to throw big maps up with some more yellow and some more red and some more brown, and you look at it, you're like, I don't know, man, bunch of maps. What do these mean? Here's what it means in terms of acreage, housing units, traffic, fiscal, economic, utilities, infrastructure. We will be conducting 2 public workshops to walk people through the report, get their feedback, and understand what the community is thinking about how these maps might or might not work. We will then take the maps back to the GPAC. We'll tell them about what we heard from the public. We'll get additional GPAC feedback on these land use alternatives based on the information in this report, and then I'm coming back to council. It's not set in stone. Just based on doing this for a while, I'm going to suggest a minimum of 2 meetings, and I'm going to lobby staff and city manager. Let me be the only item. Maybe it's a special meeting. I want to come back and we roll up our sleeves. I want to throw some tables out here. I want to get markers. I want to lay these maps out. I want to talk about the key findings, and I want to dig into this. I want to tell you what the public said. I want to tell you what the GPAC said. So tonight, I'm just saying, hey, watch me show you maps. When I come back after the public workshops, I'm not asking you to watch. Like, that'll be the make or break time to dig into this thing. And what I'm going to have for you is a bunch of information and supporting analysis. So when you start asking me very pointed questions, as you should, what does this mean? What are the implications? I'm going to have the data, and we're going to go through it together. And I envision a couple working sessions where we're going to hammer this out. And then we can continue to build the rest of the general plan around the map that works for Clovis. So that's the game plan for how the report is going to be used. And in my mind, it's going to be one of the most instrumental and powerful tools for you guys when I start asking you to start making some pointed, specific decisions on how this general plan is going to come together.
Ben and Renee, on what you just said, where does the Planning Commission fall into that process?
That's a great question, and the answer is wherever and however you want them to. So I've done this as joint workshops with the Planning Commission and Council, which I am very amenable and open to. I can also go to the Planning Commission separately prior to coming to you. But if you want their input, my 2 cents would be, I'm speaking out of turn, I would hold a special meeting, joint with Planning Commission and Council, and the only item on the agenda is the land use map, and it's a workshop. We're not adopting it. And I would love to have all of you, and let's roll up our sleeves, throw out the big maps and the markers, and let's hit this thing. So that would be my 2 cents on how to approach it.
I think that would be something we want to direct you now, if there's any objection to it having, because I think our Planning Commission should be involved with us in, especially it's only the planning process anyway, so.
I like it and agree, and it doesn't change our tact. We're still going from A to B, and when it's time for those workshops, and if it's both bodies, the more the merrier, and that sounds fantastic.
Please plan it that way, Renee. Okay.
I would just add, I agree. I think having a special meeting focused solely on what we come back with and having both bodies weigh in would be both time, using time wisely and getting a comprehensive set of comments. I will say I'm happy that at these GPAC meetings, a few of our commissioners, they do attend. And so they've been involved in the process. So very appreciative of that.
Good, Lynn.
I was just going to add, this might be weird, I'm sure it is. We have a lot of other people, like we have the Personnel Commission. We have a few other people that we appoint to do things for the city. I don't know if there's a way to engage them. I know that they live here. They're not planners. But if there's other ways to make those sort of one-off appointments feel like they also are part of how we do our work as a city, I don't think we've ever engaged them in anything really. So if there's, maybe they come and listen. I'm not exactly sure, but we have a lot of people that volunteer, and we say that's why we're a great city, because people do show up. So it's kind of a random thought, but anyway, just enough. But if there's other ways to invite other people that we appoint to things, there might be a way we can engage them, just for the opportunity to show up. It's their city too.
I think that's a great comment, and we can make sure that they're made aware of the next set of GPAC meetings, and then as these items come back in either a special meeting or specifically to Planning Commission and Council, they're made aware, and so they can come and participate and share their comments.
Yeah, thanks.
And to that end, I can't name all the special commissions that you have, but as we work our way through subject matter specifics with the GPAC, if you have a Parks and Recs Commission or Historic Preservation Commission, inviting them to those GPAC meetings is easy, low-hanging fruit in terms of our work program to make sure they're involved, invested, and they can listen and contribute to the conversations about the specific topics. Because it's very easy to get focused on land use, but your general plan covers like 15 topics, and land use is simply one of them. Again, it's the elephant in the room, but the rest is equally important, and we'd love to have them there.
And thank you, Lynn, for that comment, because I think, Amy, you and I discussed this at the end of the Planning Commission, Personnel Commission interviews, that how do we involve them more and to invite them, and they're included in the announcements of all these sort of public meetings, so just that they're aware, so.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll offer up is, particularly via Zoom, I am more than happy to jump on anytime and give a commission an update, talk about what's going on. And like I said when we kicked this off, you gave a generous budget for a very large work effort, and little things like, hey, do a Zoom meeting to update the commission on X, Y, and Z. Absolutely. More than happy to. So that's folded in with this when it fits. In terms of timeline and managing expectations, the land use alternatives report, I hope I have not undersold it. Now I got to deliver it. We need a couple months to prepare it. So presumably we will be starting later this week. I'm going to need 3-4 months to get it dialed. We're going to write it in 3. I'm going to be kicking it around with staff. There'll be a lot of technical information. So I'm not expecting it to be drafted and ready for showtime until, kind of late summer, August-ish, September-ish. And then I anticipate holding public workshops in, call it early fall, September-ish. Give me a couple month squish on that. We'll be going back to the GPAC in fall, and then my goal will be late 2025 or 2026. That's our current year, coming back to council to dig into this. So December's are full calendars. I'm not going to tell you we're here on Christmas Eve, but the late in this year is when I'm going to be knocking on your calendar door to start having some mapping workshops with council to really dig into all of this. So that's the anticipated timeline. All right. I've said we have 3 alternatives. First and foremost is the easy one, the low-hanging fruit, your existing Clovis general plan land use map as amended through today or yesterday. What will it look like if you just didn't change your land use map? How much more growth? Where are you headed? What if you didn't do anything? We have alternative 2, which we are calling the GPAC's preferred map. This includes the majority of the 35 property owner change requests, plus additional modifications and changes as recommended by the GPAC. So for example, we might have gotten a property change request in one area and the GPAC said, yeah, that looks good, but what about the stuff next to it? That would be a weird little peninsula. What is that? What makes sense around it? So we did more discussions of land use planning and we built it out. We had other things that were not in a genesis of a property owner change request that was in relation to GPAC input, so we put that on the map. And so the GPAC as a whole was quite deferential to the property owner change requests. So the majority of the sentiment was, it looks kind of reasonable and somebody requested it, let's put it on the map for further consideration. There were a couple that were like these outliers, and they'll be in the report where you're like, I don't know, man, that's kind of just a thing out here that probably doesn't make sense on, I don't want to bash the application, but some of them are just stuck out like a sore thumb that might not make sense. But for the most part, the GPAC was very inclined to say, yes, let's keep looking at that and study it further. Alternative 3, I had to pick a name, so I came up with the strategic growth alternative, is slightly pared back. It includes several, I didn't count them, but I'm probably 55% of the property owner change requests. Input from the GPAC in terms of overarching priorities related to economic development, housing diversity, etc. Expanded opportunities for job growth, input from city department heads and the technical advisory committee, and we were also very careful to make sure that both alternatives 2 and 3 were incorporating key feedback we received from the larger community during the visioning workshops. So as we prepare the alternatives report, we'll be talking about, how do we develop these? What do we hear from the public? How's that reflected on the map? What did we get for parcel change requests? How is that reflected on the map? And so we're really trying to tell the story with each of these alternatives. All right, so again, maps, don't get bogged down. There's a lot of colors and Clovis is big and growing and you have a large planning area. So your existing general plan land use map reflects current land use designations throughout the city and the sphere of influence and the larger planning area. It includes recent annexations and city limit boundary changes. And I say that only because, as the consultant that gets into the weeds, annexations have occurred from the time we kicked this off until today. And this map will be updated as of the, like yesterday. So when you approve annexations after the time we started, our baseline existing conditions map reflects like day one conditions in terms of how they exist today in Clovis. Reflects changes resulting from your housing element update, which I don't want to dwell on, but that's in there. And reflects general plan amendments approved by the city prior to initiating the moratorium on general plan amendments as we work through the rest of the general plan update. So that was a long-winded way of saying your existing map as it exists today. And that will be one of the alternatives. Alternative 2. And so what we've done here, kudos to my GIS team. They've been tinkering with different ways to display this. I went in and I was like, hey, I'm going to throw a bunch of maps on the screen and make something pop so we can see the differences. And so the areas that look a little 3D and brighter color are the areas that would be different from your existing general plan land use map under Alternative 2. So you have notable areas north of Copper, mixed-use village and variable density residential. So this was a response to general plan parcel change applications and GPAC input. You have notable areas of new mixed-use village, residential, and urban reserve east of McCall, so down here in the southeast corner. I want to point out a new tool that we are proposing as part of the Land Use Alternatives Report. That's that kind of, pardon my language, that's the monkey barf green in the southeast and the northeast areas. So the southern portion of the northeast and the southern easternmost portion of the southeast. Urban Reserve Area is a new land use planning designation tool that we are going to propose you consider as part of your general plan. It is a glorified and semi-specific placeholder for new urbanization. It essentially says, we anticipate urban, non-ag, non-open space land uses in this area at some point in the future, but we are not necessarily at a point where we're prepared to say this one's residential and that one's commercial and this one's mixed-use village, but we are prepared to say this someday will be urbanized and part of Clovis. So we're calling it Urban Reserve Area. So the general plan would include language framing out what that means, what it would mean in order to urbanize and get specific designations, criteria for annexation. You know, it's got to be contiguous. You can't do leapfrog. Services have to be available. Laying out what it looks like. So think of it as a semi-specific placeholder without getting too specific. So I just wanted to articulate that as a new planning tool. It's worked well for me in other communities. It doesn't necessarily develop during the next 20 years on this general plan's timeframe, but it's a statement of purpose in terms of where you're headed. We're also showing revised land use.
Question.
Ben, can I ask you a question now, or you want me to wait till you're done?
Right now, please.
Just a question. Do you have a matching ag reserve or open space reserve or a matching partner to urban reserve?
As a partner, no. And if the intent were ag reserve, my guidance would be designate it or leave it as ag. And if it were intended for open space, I would say designate it or leave it as open space. So because it doesn't have the reserve partner to the urban reserve, doesn't mean it's not being contemplated and thought about. But the urban reserve is special in that most instances, the land underlying it is either ag or open space in its current use. And we are saying that this will be intended for urban development at some point. Whereas to your point, if the underlying use is ag or open space, and that's the intended future use, we would continue to designate it ag or open space. So I think it accomplishes the same thing, but we wouldn't use the reserve language.
I like the word reserve. It's a good word.
I can put it in the general plan in many places.
I think just to add on a little bit to the urban reserve, so the areas that are in that lighter shade of monkey green?
Monkey barf green.
Yes. So those are part of the 33 land use request changes that came in, and just looking at the long-term horizon and the build-out, we kind of as a group talked about this concept of an urban reserve. So that kind of went hand in hand with making that, at least for this alternative, that recommendation.
Yeah, to further that point without beating it to death, and some of the applications, the GPAC looked at it and said, yeah, it seems probably reasonable, seems pretty far out there. I talked about this urban reserve concept, and they were like, hey, let's not say no to the application request, but I don't know if we're ready to say this 15 acres is low density and that 15 acres is high and this one is commercial. So it was a way of saying, seems reasonable, but let's be kind of vague about it in terms of how it might come to fruition in the coming decades. So.
And Ben, is there something where it's not too far out, but closer, but I've heard of a open zone, right? An open zoning. So we don't know if it's low, high, medium, but it gives the ability to change quicker, even though it's developing quicker.
I haven't heard that term, but I believe that the way we are intending to draft urban reserve area accomplishes exactly what you just articulated. So what I envision in the general plan policy text is urban reserve area means the following, X, Y, Z, to be developed in the future. The criteria for assigning a specific designation to it shall be the following. And it will lay out the roadmap in non-vague, non-nebulous terms for how urban reserve becomes something specific, such as medium density or mixed-use village or light industrial or what have you. So it'll set the stage and the roadmap for how it becomes that specific thing, which I think is accomplishing what you were talking about with that open zoning concept. So
I just heard you saying it's further out, but what about something that's, hey, 5 years, it can happen. We just don't know what. Let's keep it where.
Our intent is to write the criteria to be metric criteria, not grounded in time, but grounded in, is it contiguous? Are there services? Are we not leapfrogging? But not assigning, I don't anticipate the language to say anything like X years, 20 years, 30 years.
Got it.
It'll be when the following are met, it could be ready to come in. And if that happens in 5 years and you can check those boxes and we're not leapfrogging and we have services, then yes. But there'll be nothing in the policy that says 2050 or beyond or 2 decades or what have you.
Thank you.
So. All right, so moving through alternative 2 with a couple more details. We've got revised land uses and urban reserve area in the northeast urban center south of Shepherd. And then one notable thing I'll note, you see the bright green north of Shepherd up in the upper right-hand corner. Your existing general plan land use map has a mosaic of land uses up in this area. It's got browns and yellows and mixed density residential and what have you. Staff, there's been historical concerns on extension of infrastructure. It's geographically removed. Staff has had multiple detailed discussions with property owners and the property owner's representative. It is our understanding, and I sat through one of those meetings, that their intention is to keep it in agricultural production and move towards establishing a habitat mitigation bank. And so as a land use planner with no knowledge previously of how it came to be, I looked at all those colors on the map and I was like, dude, can we turn this green? This doesn't make sense up here. The landowners are very much supportive of that, and so this is reflective of property owner desires in terms of moving towards mitigation bank and maintaining agricultural uses. And from a land use planning perspective, growing north of Shepherd, way out there, didn't fit, especially with the environmental constraints you have to the west of that, north of Shepherd. So I feel good about that change, and it's not running counter to any property owner preconceived notions or desires.
I think you just named an ag reserve.
I'm gonna add that to the map. So I think I did as well.
I think you did.
All right, what else? Like I said, we have nearly all of the property owner change requests reflected on this map. It incorporates the new urban reserve area designation, which I just talked about. And I do want to emphasize, within the city limits proper, there are very, very few changes to the map. So as we've dug into this with the community and the GPAC, what we are not seeing is a reshuffling of the land use map interior to the existing established city limits. That's consistent with your current general plan. You have a lot of projects that are either entitled or have specific or master plans prepared, and significant amounts of the input we heard from the community was looking outside of your city limits to the new frontier of what future growth might look like. All right, and then finally, I will bring you to alternative 3. It is substantially similar to alt 2 in terms of what is shown north of Copper and what is shown north and south of Shepherd within the northeast urban center. The notable difference, I'm going to toggle back to number 2. You'll notice south of Shepherd in the northeast urban center, we have a very large area of urban reserve area. And as I toggle to alt 3, it's showing the same extent of development south of Shepherd in the northeast urban center, but we have gone to the parcel level in terms of assigning specific land use designations. This is in line with the requests from the property owners that were out there, and also input from staff in terms of the benefits of being more specific than just vaguely saying urban reserve area. And then as we move down to the southeast area of the city, it's much more restrained in terms of expansions to the east. So again, I'm showing you number 3 right now. If I toggle back to number 2, you'll see we've got pretty extensive areas of urban reserve areas kind of moving out towards Quail Lakes, growing a little bit more to the north. But when I show you alt 3, it's really just down there south of Ashland. It's a couple blocks down south of Ashland and west of McCall. As I mentioned, approximately 50-ish% of the property interchange requests are reflected on this map. And again, limited changes within the city limits. All right, that's a lot to look at. And as promised, I was going to show you maps. But again, I'm not trying to dig in and figure out if this one makes sense or that one makes sense. So all 3 alternatives would provide for an extensive range of additional growth potential, including jobs and housing. The levels of growth and their implications will be analyzed in detail in the Land Use Alternatives Report. I want to emphasize this next point. All versions of this map are subject to change. They will change. We didn't throw these out there and be like, dude, you got to pick one. That is not what's happening. What will happen is you're going to say, you know, I think alt 3 is closest, but I like this from alt 2, except I don't like that, and I want you to add this. They're all subject to change, and this is just our meandering path to get us to what I'll be calling your preferred land use map that you will get comfortable with and will build the rest of the general plan around. All right, in summary, the council is not being asked to discuss these map alternatives in detail tonight, but rather provide a general consensus to proceed.
Don't talk, you said that like 3 times. Don't talk. Don't talk about it.
It was not talk, it was discussed at the staff and consultant level to clarify, because I've been to a lot of councils. I'm like, I'm going to put maps in front of them, and they're going to want to say, well, hang on.
Oh, we never do that here.
So I have accomplished the mission because I promised staff I would emphasize this point. But rather, to provide a general consensus to proceed with preparation of the Land Use Alternatives Report, analyzing the 3 maps outlined this evening. The report will require approximately 3 to 4 months. Following completion, we will schedule 2 public workshops to review and discuss the report and receive community feedback, which we anticipate to occur this fall. We will then return to the GPAC to talk about what we heard from the public, get their additional feedback, and then I will be back here in a probably, hopefully, a joint session or 2 with Planning Commission and Council. And I want to bring markers and roll up sleeves and lay out tables and dig into this thing. And I anticipate that to occur late this year. That is the conclusion of my presentation, and I would be happy to answer any questions and entertain any discussion.
Hey, Matt, go ahead.
Can I go back? No, I'm just kidding.
Let's dig into these maps.
Map
Alt
number
2,
2.
what do you think?
Reason why it should be a gas station, really, we should talk about that.
No, my only question when the GPAC is doing this is, are the analysis that come in from, you know, like outside entities where we talked about in the past where we don't want to be so housing dependent on our tax base, and that in the past that, you know, so we don't end up back in a 2007-8 era of a housing crash. And we talk about the industrial, you know, overall big picture of needing industrial. Is that brought into this group too, or is it, and I'm trying to understand the process of how they get to, you know, the GPAC, because they all have their own independent, you know, priorities when it comes to building this out. But at the same time, from the city standpoint, you know, I remember hearing about this the last time, and it said, well, we were too housing dependent, as a city, and from a tax-based standpoint, should we be looking at making sure we have some industrial? And I only bring that up because, I mean, I was talking with Chad, and we were trying to bring a multi-million-dollar trucking and company here to Clovis, and we had nowhere for them to go.
So the concepts you just outlined are almost verbatim some of the discussions that GPAC has had.
Okay, I'll
So
shut
we've
up.
had discussions on. And now, what I haven't done with them yet is come back and said, hey, map number 2 has X acres of this, and here are the numbers fiscally behind that. But the words you use, like, let's not get housing dependent, remember 2007, 2008, and gee, we need some more industrial, and what's the vacant land capacity of existing industrial land within Clovis? Turns out there's not much of it. Do we need more of that? Where does that go? Those have been the thrust of a lot of our land use discussions with the GPAC. Almost, I mean, you could have been sitting at the table and I heard very similar things from GPAC members. So, yes.
Any other comments, questions?
You had an earlier slide, and I wasn't paying attention to the number, about sort of the principles that people were going to use to go through the work. And the last one was the vision of Clovis.
Yes.
I just want to make a pitch for leading with that. It's not like the last thing we would, I mean, for me, not that you're not ranking those, I get that, but in my mind, this is not a transaction. This is the GPAC, the general plan is not a transaction. It's really a longer range view. So I think about starting there and what is it we're trying to build as a community. So I'm sure you've done that during the conversations, but I just think it's super important that it doesn't turn into a, I own the corner of X and Y, and I think it should be a blah, blah, blah. So, and I hear you allowing that, but also kind of redirecting that. But I just think that's, to me, you know, this is a 20-year kind of commitment. So I just wanted to highlight maybe raising that to the top. The other thing that I would add about the analyzing for each alternative, is this notion of the context of the region. What else is happening here that you can only imagine? You can't, I'm sure you don't have a crystal ball, do you? But I mean, what about the Southeast Development Area in Fresno? If that goes through, what does that mean to us? What about, I think the larger regional context is important as we imagine what Clovis could be in the next 10 or 20 years. So I might add that to your list. And then I guess the other thing I think, all of this stuff are things, but I also would want to imagine sustainability. You didn't use that word, but you talked about elements of sustainability. So it's a little bit like the gentleman talking about water rates or water infrastructure. Just thinking about that, because we can build really anything we want. If there's no water master plan money, if there's no infrastructure money, it's not going to really matter. So that was one thing I didn't see up there that I might add. But I mean, I like the idea. I love charts. I love markers. It's my kind of thing. And can we come to the meetings? I mean, I want to come to the community health meeting because I want to advocate for that in more places than we have in our current general plan. So are we invited? May 19th, 6 o'clock?
The meetings are open to the public, yes.
Am I public?
Yes,
I'm
you're
kidding. I know I'm
definitely
public.
invited.
So anyway, I think that I'm looking forward to that. But I think those kinds of things, and this, I think Matt's right about jobs. And generational kind of investments. If we've got this empty land, we get one shot at making it something, if it's a regional park or whatever it is. So I think those are really essential. But anyway, those would be my comments on these principal ideas here.
Go ahead, Diane.
Yeah, I think kind of taking off what Lynn was saying there as far as the consistency with the vision for Clovis, I see that not as much as the first point or the main point. I see that as kind of the umbrella. And all those other specifics are tangible things that kind of feed into that. And so with that kind of concept, you know, like I say, that's kind of the overarching piece that we're looking for. We want all of these other elements to feed into that. And then I also just want to echo the agreement with Matt's comments about industrial in particular and just kind of that commercial development, industrial development, whatever that is. And so I'm glad to see and hear that that's already a focus that's been part of the conversations and moving forward. So I think, yay. And I had all kinds of stuff saved up for this agenda item, and then you told me not to say anything, so. No.
Save it. Don't forget it. Write it down somewhere.
I like the maps.
Any other comments? Okay, Ben and Renee, my thought.
Oh, you gotta go now?
I gotta go now. Yeah, these are broad. Can you go back just to one of the maps?
No,
I'm not gonna talk detail.
you can't even talk about the map.
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
It's 3-2, you can't
d-
talk about the
don't-
first rule of the maps. Exactly.
don't you think it's too small? Are we not dreaming big enough? Because we gotta go up further than this. We gotta plan the hills. Because that's where we set our flags down. Because I keep thinking we have not, and Fresno's there. So Fran, all the way to Clovis Unified, up by Millerton up there. Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we planning that? I know, but we've always talked about 50, but this can just be a planning area, not an actual go. So I keep looking at it, I go, this is great, but I think we could have gone bigger. So, but that's my first comment only. And even to the north, you know, I know that Wilson has that project, but how come it's all just gapped in? If we're gonna do it, let's do it. Let's complete everything around it and make it go, this is what Clovis can potentially be. Maybe too much work, I don't know, you know, that may be the restriction.
It's not too much work. I'll give a two-part response to that. One, those are small rectangles and 3D squares on the screen. It is thousands and thousands of acres. Two, we are looking at multiple planning boundaries up there, and we are showing significant urban uses beyond your sphere of influence out into a larger planning area that is part of the county right now. And so everything popping in color up there is a flag outside of your current sphere, showing years and years of potential growth, thousands and thousands of acres, and tens of thousands of housing units. So when I come back with the numbers and you look at the build out potential and you still say too small, bigger, more, we can add more color. But I don't want to downplay, these are, the boxes look small, and some of these boxes are 1,000 acres in size.
Excellent answer.
We'll buy more flags.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but he said it was easy to color, so.
The color, the markers are great.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're easy to
Those
color.
little 3D things are just a click of a button.
Yeah, so they can-
halfway to Madeira by the time we're done.
Boom,
here.
100,000 people right there. Click.
And then the other comment is sort of what Lynn said. Are we considering sort of transportation corridors, those old plans where I saw that the 33 was going to curve up there and connect? And so how do we look at all that? Even though it's an old plan, you probably have more history with it, sort of the, you know, Valley Blueprint and all that, and go, let's take a look and see if it ever gets revived, right? And so how do we play and still in that regional game?
So in my mind, there's a little bit of interplay between desired land use, historically planned transportation routes, and what the analysis tells us we will need for new transportation routes to support our desired land use. And so it's very difficult to come in and plan them simultaneously at this stage. So I like to take bites of the apple. And the first one is, how do we want to grow? Where do we want to grow? And to what extent do we want to grow? And then I try to answer the question of what will we need to facilitate and make that happen, and what's on the books now on paper. And that's what part of what this land use alternatives report is going to answer. So if we take a whole bunch of colors and boxes and say, look, there's 30,000 housing units up here, how are they going to get from A to B? Well, it's going to be this much traffic. They're going to need this much lane capacity. Here's what we have now. Here's what's on paper. Here's what's missing. What does a circulation network look like to facilitate the land use plan that we want? And so I really advise my client cities to settle on the land use plan you want and then figure out how you need to build it, the infrastructure to accommodate it, understanding you can't roll all that out at once, but here are the criteria for our circulation network. Here's a phasing in terms of where geographically we put our resources first versus second in terms of funding. And what does that mean in terms of traffic and what we would have to build to make it all work? Okay. And so this report is intended to kind of peel back the cover to answer those questions at the 30,000 foot level. It's not all the internal streets. It's backbone water and sewer, backbone arterials to make it work.
Okay.
I just would add, I think this is where it would be great to have a regional plan where we could plan together, because we were just talking about this not too long ago. There's sort of sentimental, gee, wasn't it great when Herndon was going to be this expressway with no intersections or no driveways or no, well, it didn't really work out that way. Then it was Shepherd. Well, the ship has sailed. Then it was Avenue 7 in Madera. On the east side, it was State Route 65. So I just think all of those, that's when a regional plan, which we can't be in charge of, but that's the missing piece in this transportation corridor idea, because all of those ships, Herndon, Shepherd, Copper, have sailed, going that way, as an example.
And they interrelate, because, I mean, you have your SCS, your RTP, that's based on the general plans of the cities and the county. So it's this iterative back and forth process. You know, you have a regional transportation now at the COG level in the Sustainable Community Strategy. Again, that's based on the adopted general plans. You're going to adopt your new general plan. They will update the RTP. So there is an interplay between regionally planned facilities and the growth plans of each city, but they aren't happening in unison. It's communicative, but not cohesive all the time.
Well, and we surely don't plan with Madera County, so that isn't even a thing. But that would be another, in a perfect scenario, would be an opportunity.
Mayor, if I may, so I think Councilmember Ashbeck was kind of referring to like the blueprint and the values, and so we won't lose that in our evaluation. I think that was your overarching comment. In addition to all the studies in the ultimate land use plan that we collectively agree upon, making sure we haven't lost sight of what those particular planning documents set out to do, that we're still being true to that as best we can with the land use.
And we need to also be ready potentially where it's alternative one, huh? And what that means, meaning the current is it. Don't go above and beyond. Because I thought that was alternative one, where we don't plan anything. Yeah.
Alternative one.
Yeah, no
would,
map talk. Uh-huh.
It would be the continuation of your current land use map. And part of what we'll be telling you is this report is what's unbuilt, what's left. Because what you have is a lot on paper, and you still have a lot of vacant land. There's a lot of dirt to turn and a lot of roofs to go up without changing your land use map. So I want to be very clear. Alt 1 existing map is not a no-growth alternative. It is a non-deviation from what you have on paper now. And if you read your current general plan, when it shows the growth projections, it says something like, this is probably going to take 70 plus years. And that was written 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And so Alt 1 showing no change from the map is not a no-growth alternative. It is simply a no deviation on paper from what you have adopted. And what that means, what's left, you're like, so I would anticipate the question, what would we see under no land use map change? We'll answer that question in the report.
Okay. All right, we're going to open the public portion. If you'd like a comment on this, address the council.
My name is Steve Trevino. I live in Bullard. Sir, where do you see Clovis in 20 years? Because the reason I asked this, we got drones supposedly coming into the picture. All you gotta do is come over to Clark in the morning. Half the kids are riding e-bikes and scooters, and our I just went to LA. I just got back yesterday. There was a Waymo car, a driverless car. You go to Bay Area. I was in Bay Area a few months ago. They were talking about the BART even going all the way to Tracy. They're already talking about some kind of train here in Fresno. So, still our transportation is really bad. I had to drive to Los Angeles. There's no anything direct to the airport yet, And so I'm asking you, what do you think? I mean, because, it's funny. I don't know if you ever heard of Johari window. You look like an educated man. But anyways, a lot of people that live here, they haven't traveled. Just recently in my life, Just this past year, I went to Florida. I drove to Florida, and I've been to Bay Area, Los Angeles. But I haven't been to New York City. I haven't been to Japan. I haven't been to Europe. I haven't been around the world. And there's people here, I'm sure, that have seen things that I haven't seen. And Clovis has changed so much in my lifetime, you know, and I don't know what's going to happen. You see all these things going on in the news, you know, and just the other day, the chief saw me walking on Fifth Street over here, and he gave me a funny look. He goes, "What are you looking at?" Well, what I was looking at is that the cars are going down Fifth Street, but there's no room for a bicycle to go through, you know? And you know, you gotta think about something. You know, I took a Spanish class about, I don't know, 30 years ago. I didn't graduate from college. But anyways, there's a little story about two little mice, two rats and their daughter, and the daughter was gonna get married, and they told the daughter, "Hey, you know, you're gonna get married, but we don't want you to marry the little mouse. We want you to marry the greatest thing in the universe." And so they went to the son, and he told the son, he goes, "We want you to marry our daughter, and because you're the greatest." He goes, "No, you need to go talk to the clouds, because the clouds, they cover my heat and the light." So they went to talk to the clouds, and then they went and talked to the wind, because the wind, he said, the wind's stronger than us. So they went and talked to the wind, and the wind goes, "No, I'm not the strongest thing in the universe. You got to go talk to the wall of China, because I've been trying to blow them down and I haven't been able to." So they went to the wall of China, and they talked to the wall of China, and the wall of China told them, "See that little mouse down there? That's the greatest thing in the universe, because you know why? That little mouse can come as many times as he wants." So, you know, the meaning of the story is...
Mr. Trevino, can you, summarize?
The meaning of the story is the answer is right there at our feet. And you guys are talking about expansion when you're not thinking about what's right here in this town. Anyways, that's it. Thank you.
And with regards to your question, I think we can answer it. This is just a planning process, so that way we can decide if this is enough or if we want to expand further. So this is sort of just a process, and Ben is helping us with regards to what we will do. We will decide what we will be in 20 years, and it's not the consultant. He's just helping us if we say we go a certain way or not. So, anything else to add, Ben?
The only thing I would add is, as we talk about the land use map, it's easy to focus on growth and where we're going. I do not ever want to lose sight that the entire rest of the general plan, so much of it is focused on who we are now, how we preserve it, how we enhance it, and we're talking about environment, economy, culture, history, downtown. So much of this general plan focuses on what Clovis is now and how Clovis will continue to be what it wants to be. And our growth vision for the land use map is one of many, many interrelated parts.
That's
and
right.
So much of the general plan will stay grounded in who we are, how do we maintain it, and how do we build upon what's been working.
Anyone else? Oh, Lynn, do you want to come? Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to go and close the public portion.
Just
bring it back to the
one more
council.
comment that I meant to say. The other thing that I think this has to attend to is, I still haven't gotten over the self-storage on Shaw. I hold on to things for a long time, but I think we need to be really mindful of existing corridors, existing land use, vacant spots. What's going to happen if the mall goes away? What's going to happen if at home? I think that, but to me, that self-storage thing was a huge, that's not who we are, but we've just become a place that's just going to put anything on a random corridor. Sorry, I'm a little bitter. But I think it's a mistake. So I think we need to be paying attention to existing corridors as much as all the place where there's boxes.
And that was very much the policy discussion on Thursday with the GPAC was, okay, hey, we're done talking about land use for right now.
Yeah.
Let's talk land use policy, and corridors, improvement areas, revitalization was very much the thrust of our discussion last week. Right in line with what you just said.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Renee. Okay.
good job.
This is a receive and file. We will now move to city manager comments. Andy.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to highlight this week, the Mayor's Breakfast is this coming Thursday. Hopefully you have a ticket because it's sold out, but if you're around the building, you might get to shake his hand if you don't have a ticket. The mayor's.
Why would that be important?
So it should be a great event. And then also, just wanted to highlight, we are putting up banners across town this week. They're up on Herndon last I saw. So these are banners to celebrate the 250th birthday of our country. But we'll be able to use them in the future during July 4th and whatnot.
Will
So.
Fresno's be this too? Because you said
They will have flags. It won't be the same.
It won't be the same.
But
Yeah.
it'll connect.
I see.
Yes.
Yeah,
it'll
similar theme. We chose to go with ones that we could use many years into the future. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor.
Okay. Now we'll move to council comments. Councilor Basco.
A few weeks ago, I went to the North Kings Water meeting, and just a couple highlights out of that. One was, it was the first time in history that we did not receive one drop of rain in the month of March, since they've been keeping track. And it was also the lowest snow total recording on April 1st. Because of that hot month of March, all the snow melted off early. So it registered as the lowest water month as well in history. So now these last storms we've had, we'll see where that really takes us this year, but water in general could be an issue for this year because of the high heat we had in the month of March and no rain at all. So it's an interesting, they're trying to forecast it and they've let water go because they were anticipating, and then now our lakes are going to be a little lower potentially, but anyways, we'll know more probably in the next month when they do the next reading because of these late storms. But yeah, first time in history, no water in the month of March. That's all I got.
Thank you. Councilmember Bessinger.
A couple of things. Since our last meeting, the California Air Resources Board made a decision that they were going to mandate private haulers to have electric vehicles. And it happened, the turnaround time on it was between meetings. So with staff's help, we put together a letter of opposition and sent it to CARB. I've been exchanging emails with a board member of CARB explaining that, putting this on those carriers, those costs are going to be passed on to the ratepayers.
Drew, what are you saying, that private homes have to have chargers?
No, I'm sorry. No. Mid-Valley is going to have to transition their.
I was going to say, wait, what are you talking about?
Well, that's probably next.
I was going to say, that makes, okay.
They have created a rule where I looked at a guy today who, he's a landscaper. He's going to have all electric stuff by 2035, and how are they, how do you charge that? It's crazy. That's a whole different thing. But I've been exchanging emails with a CARB board member that I know. She seemed to be open to the conversation about the problem. On Saturday, I attended Trail Fest and I was with the Youth Commission in Brianna. We're going to have, some of these young people are going to be up here not too long. Very, very personable outreach to the public. We got a lot of kids got bike helmets. It was actually a very nice event. On Sunday, the mayor and I participated in an event called Carry the Load. And what it does is honors people who died in the line of, in the military, in the line of duty, because you die twice. First time when your heart stops beating, and the second time when people stop saying your name. So people marched with a name of someone who died. I wore the name of a young man named Andy Reese, who was a Marine Corps corporal, died in Vietnam in 1968. He lived 3 houses up the street from here. And his parents were very close friends of my wife's family. So that was a very nice event. It was very, very well attended. It was very nice. And lastly, I was going to sneak this in and put it on the wall, but I decided not to do that. Our friend Bill had this made for me, and there's a perfect place right on the wall. It's,
But you have to
it's
approve.
it's a document, it's what, Declaration of Independence. And I would like to ask my peers if we can put this up here. Staff will find a place for it, but this is a foundational document. What saith you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll just say the farther we get as a country away from our foundation, the less I want this stuff on the wall. We don't deserve this on the wall, so I think it's a terrible idea. There's 100 foundational documents, so I'm not
Well,
interested.
we're not going to put up the.
You don't know that.
What was the first one?
Magna Carta. I made that up.
No. Magna Carta, that's British. The Articles of Confederation, we're not going to do that.
Oh, but we're going to do the 10 Commandments. I don't get me started. I think it's a bad idea. Thank you to Bill. I think you should take it home, give it to Yvonne. She doesn't want it at your house, which is why you're doing it here, I'm sure. But I just think it's a bad idea, and I'm not interested. But I lose that one, so, again. But I think you got 4 votes to put it up, so have at it.
I don't know if I have 4 votes.
Well, you
I've
got,
never heard
I'm
mine.
sure you do. That's how this
We're good?
rolls. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Aye, aye,
I'll give
aye.
this to staff. Staff will put it in the
Just for
appropriate
clarity, you're
location.
providing direction to staff to place that in the chambers.
Why don't you hang it right up there above In God We Trust? We
Thank
just
you.
put all kinds of stuff right up there. It'll be great.
And I can put it right here.
It's behind my head. That's great. That is great. That's just swell.
That's all I have.
Oh,
Okay.
Drew, I could do with you.
Councilmember Ashbank.
Take me out and beat me.
Well, I went to Arlington National Cemetery last week where people that are buried there, including my parents, didn't die for what we've become. So I'm super frustrated now, Drew, sorry. But that was a nice visit. The rodeo was fun. Congratulations to Jeff Whitty, our own, for his Grand Marshal-ness, which was really fun to see him honored. And I just want to give a shout out to Renee and her team for the work on Shaw. That item came and went in the consent calendar. It was pretty quiet. But that letter from Will Dyke and Phil Neufeld was not for the faint of heart. So good job on that. And I was thinking about, we've done some economic development things around Old Town at Christmas and Shop Here and whatnot. I don't know, maybe there's something we can do to help Loma Vista Marketplace during the holidays. Maybe Sean could think of some, some promotion to encourage people to still try to go out there if people are daunted by what looks like Shaw Avenue construction. But anyway, just a shout out to that, because that came and went without any controversy here, and that was not an easy lift, so good job on that. So thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem Pierce.
Yeah, just again, a shout out to the rodeo. Always a fantastic community and regional event. I love seeing so many people come and enjoy that. And so another well done rodeo in the books. And that is all I have.
Okay. Wanted to report out, last week we had a COG meeting and we voted on 4 items to approve. And so I won't go through it because it's just common stuff, sort of the 4th phase of approving different projects that come forward. So it was pretty straightforward. I wanted to say I appreciate Mayor Dyer for coming over when we discuss America 250, that we would work together. Chad's been working with their office and trying to get the 2 cities to coordinate certain celebrations and to get those on the calendars so that way our residents, if they're in Fresno, they would know what's going on and know what's going on here. I want to thank Aaron Breeze for doing another excellent pastor symposium, getting the pastors together, and how PD is actually sharing data and the different beads showing, okay, this is the different arrests, this is what's going on, the average age is this, and data that pastors can use and understand that that's what PD is going through. I thought that was a very, very healthy discussion. We have a couple new businesses in town. Barnes & Noble, please bring your children there. It's an amazing place. So they did a great job. Several hundred people came to the ribbon cutting. And then Valley Caregiver Resource, they opened a new adult day healthcare. And then that one is in Fresno. And I want to commend our chamber for doing a great job of being willing to go, because they're a member of us, and so they have a place in Fresno, so it was in Fresno. And so our chamber went and did a great job there. I think it's on the Barstow and Fresno, it's sort of that corner of those businesses there. I got to attend Law Day and spoke on the rule of law and the American Dream. Loyalty Day was on May 1st as well, and I think the VFW held that one. It's a day to pledge your allegiance back to America. We went to speech night with the Clovis Community College speech team, and then there was a 3D print shop that opened up and Little Dreamers. That finally filled Barstow and Pulaski, so Sam Lucido's property there. So now it's all filled out, and so it's businesses there. And so it's a dentistry place. And with regards to carry the load, I want to thank PD. I know that transit, we can't provide and our buses to bring people back to transport, but PD stepped up. DC Gomez got the, what are those, CSO vans? I don't know what they are. Yeah, so those vans came, 2 big vans came and shipped people back to Railroad Park. So thank DC Gomez for being there, and Chief Eck, and everybody was represented, and so thank you for that. And then for Trail Fest, great job to Brack, Amy, all the departments, all public safety was there. It was very full, and it was cool, and it was a great event. Appreciate that. And then, let me see, I think that's it. Oh, Chief Eck, I went to every single one of the Fire Academy classes, and that was the last one. And now we are hopefully, fully staffed. But each one was just excellent firemen coming into our department, and now we can really ramp up and do what you have envisioned for us. So thank you for inviting us, and we welcome all those young new firemen into the department. And that's all I have. We had a great rodeo too, so I appreciate that. We are adjourned at 8:46. Thank you.